sending it around. Slightly behind where I would like to be.
Well, then I'll stay quiet.
Sending it slightly behind where I would like to be. Turn that down. Minimize. Okay. Should be here. There she is. Share. Oh, chirp. How can you stand it?
Are you so much annoyed with that you'd like me to mute?
Not right this second. I can do it from here too. It doesn't have to be.
I will. Well, I will. I always mute once you start your show.
Yeah, I'll do it in a couple minutes. There's no rush. I'll do it in a couple minutes myself. No problem. I just don't know how you can take that. I know anytime anytime I've had the battery ones, the very first chirp, I think I could hear it when I was out of the house. Like hear it.
Yeah, all I can say is I've become inured to it.
I hear it in my nightmares.
All right. Well, I'll mute now.
Come on, there we go. Oh crap. No idea if anyone's there currently. Nope. People are wising up. They're not watching the boring pre-show, nor would I. My tapping and sharing program to different places is not terribly exciting. Hear that fan though. Oh, that's what I could do. That's what I could do really quick. We can start. I can start that part. Speech. I should probably minimize that. Good. The folks here. Oh, there they are.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, gang, how we doing?
Doing pretty good.
I'm just doing my program sharing. Hey, Jeff. Hey, how we doing?
Oh, we're a couple seconds
You
behind
got
there.
it. Yep, you can't. You got to turn that down.
Absolutely. It's going off. Sorry about that.
It's all right. That happens. You might want to have a pair of earbuds by you. Or pods or whatever it is that you wish to use.
Sure.
Not to say that it's going to be necessary, but you might want to have them there
I got you.
just in case.
No
It
problem.
will eliminate any reverb.
Yeah, I'm actually hidden away in the office upstairs.
We are about 4 minutes out.
Gotcha.
My sharing continues to be early, which is rare, but a good thing. I'm in a Ridley Township group. When did that happen? Let's see if they take the program. Interesting. That could be super interesting. I don't remember joining that group. Yes, I did. Whoops, I obviously did that. Joined some type of Ridley Township group. Surprise, Dan.
I wonder if I invited you.
Surprise.
Probably Dan invited you to it.
Surprise.
Excuse me.
Oh, no. Yeah. Almost there, gang. I'm going to make one more dash away from the screen. Don't panic. And then we'll get started. Always make a last dash. Okay. For obvious reasons. I don't need to get into that. Okay. Let's just be blunt. All right. We are going. We will be going live in 3, 2, 1.
Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
And young enough to do.
well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
But it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view? Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
Cause it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
And it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy and a change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Nothing like punching your mic just when you're ready to go live and talk to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, part of this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in these United States, on this planet Earth, the only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy effect, and clearly by my stumbling tongue as we get out of the gate here and as I punch the microphone and stumble over my own tongue, clearly we are live. So we welcome you back to the program, wherever you might be across the Facebook universe. We have already shared the program to roughly, I think it's just a hair under 90 places currently. You can watch the program exactly where you are. Stay there, enjoy, listen in the background as you prepare dinner. I would say get the kids ready for school, but that's probably not for another 2 weeks yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there, kids. Get ready. It's coming. Whatever you might be doing, stay right where you are. You can watch and enjoy right there. However, if you wish to be part of the program, where I can see you, say hello to you, you can comment, ask questions, yell, scream, agree, disagree, tell me how wonderful I am, because occasionally that doesn't feel so bad. You need to come to our home group Facebook page called That Other Side of Information. I will see you where there's already 7 folks in there already. Some of you suffered through the pre-show program as I shared and tapped and shared and punched my microphone. Usually I punch it in anger, not by accident. That's okay. You can come to our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information, where we will see you, be able to say hello to you, read your comments live on the air. If you have questions for our guests or for me, we will take your questions live, direct. This is not a lecture. We love NPR. I listen to NPR all the time. I leave NPR on the radio for the cats when they're home alone all day. They're the most educated cats on the planet. We like NPR, but they're a bit lecture-y. We do not want to be a lecture. We want you to be part of the program in every last way that you can. Did you know that you could email the program? You can, thatotherkennedy@gmail.com. You can tweet us live right now. I have Twitter open right in front of me. You can tweet us at That Kennedy Talk. It's another way for you to interact with the program. You can send me comments, questions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, just like you can through Facebook. Where am I missing? To our sisters and brothers and friends and family at hot101.net, one of the absolute originators of global internet radio. Welcome back to the program. We are thrilled and we continue to be humbled and honored to be part of the hot101.net family. If you do not know how to listen to hot101.net, well, my goodness, you obviously haven't been listening to me, have you? Because I tell you every week, it's so very, very simple. Our name is our web address. It's hot101.net. If you have an Apple device, you can go to the Apple App Store and download the hot101.net app. If you have an Android device, you can go to the Google Play Store and download the hot101.net app. If you have the TuneIn radio app, just go up to the search bar, and TuneIn works on every type of phone and mobile device you could possibly think of. Go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net, and you will find us and be able to start listening immediately. And now, of course, really exciting, you can tell Alexa, because she's always listening, you can tell Alexa to play hot101.net. And to our new family at TCP, the Cultured Professional based in Lancaster, their TV network and their global internet outlet, WTCP, we welcome you as well. Thank you so much for being here. I know I say this every single week, and I have a lot of catchphrases, I guess. I have a lot of repetitive statements that I make to you every single week, not the least of which, though, is this one, because it is extremely, extremely true. We know how radio works. If no one's watching or listening, you don't have a program. So we could not be here if you are not there. Every last one of you across the Commonwealth, across the Lehigh Valley, across the country, and quite literally around the world. If you weren't listening, we couldn't be here. So you need to take the next step and interact with the program. Send us comments and questions on the Facebook page. We will open the phone line later in the program. You can email, you can tweet. We've been through all that. There's no lack of ways that you can get a hold of the program. And if you consider that this program has gone from, in about a year and a half, we've gone from sharing our very first program on Facebook only, no radio whatsoever. We shared to, I think, about a dozen different groups. We now have 2 global internet outlets, a television outlet, and we have shared the program this week to over 90 locations. Growing, growing, and growing. So what does that mean for you? It means, my last bit of business before we get to our guests, if you have a business, a service, a product, if you yourself are your business, if you are your service, and you want to advertise to quite literally a global audience who wants to hear about you and your product, you need to advertise here. Contact us through the email, thatotherkennedy@gmail.com. Let's talk about it, and you can have an ad read live by this golden dulcet tone right on the radio live, and let the globe know about yourself, your business, your product, your service. Make some sales, especially coming out of this pandemic. It's time to get business going again. So all that said, 5:10 Eastern time, and we are ready to rock and roll. Our focus this week is in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have elections every single year. Every single year. It never seems to stop. There is never an off season. Much of the country took a deep breath after the presidential election in 2020. I would say most of the folks in the Commonwealth took a breath until maybe the Monday after the general election, and then we all got back to work. So we're focusing tonight on local elections. I believe all except for the statewide judicial elections here in Pennsylvania, all the rest of the races that we're looking at are local. They're municipal or county. And we want to focus on why these elections are so important, what they mean to you, but also talk to the two candidates that we have as guests to talk about their issues. Of course, we always talk issues on the program, but we also really want to focus just as much as the issues itself. Why is this important? I believe, and I'm working from memory, you know how I work most of my stats from memory. I believe only about 25% of the eligible voters voted in the 2019 general elections. Sadly, the odd year cycles are ignored, or not enough people know about them, or they feel that the issues that affect us from a national standpoint, or even a Commonwealth standpoint, well, they don't bother us in our own hometowns. But is that true? We want to talk about all of that tonight with our two guests. Kristy Moore is running for the school board. Isn't that where it all starts? And for most of you across Pennsylvania, if you think your municipal government affects you on a day-to-day business basis, and if you think it's big, or if you think it's, that's the most direct part of government that affects you on a daily basis, I would argue that it's your school district. Here in the Saucon Valley, we have two municipalities that make up our school district. The borough of Hellertown and Lower Saucon Township make up the Saucon Valley School District. But it's the school district that actually cycles through more money than both municipalities combined. In fact, I believe it's actually double the amount of money of both municipalities combined. So we might think of school board as like an entry level thing, or something retired folks do, or something that somebody who's looking to just, start their way in politics is looking to get into. No, it's important, and it means a lot. And it doesn't mean just your kids' education or the education of the kids of your town and your area. It's your tax dollars. So we'll be talking to Kristy Moore about her school board campaign and her issues and the importance of local elections. She is running in Elizabethtown, because I don't know why in my brain the whole week I kept saying Elizabethville. So I'm really, really happy I said Elizabethtown, and I didn't do that on the air. We're also talking to Dan Corcoran, who's running for township commissioner in Ridley Township. Why have I picked these municipalities? I didn't. They were kind enough to come on the program. Why would you think to yourself, if you're in Australia or New Zealand or South America or Canada or Texas or Indiana or California or Washington, why does this matter to me? Well, geographically and the population makeup, Ridley Township and Elizabethtown might not be just like your hometown, but I guarantee you that a great deal, if not nearly all, issues that these two folks are running for and going to be dealing with, you're having them in your own backyard. I guarantee you. You're just as concerned about how your tax dollars are spent, or sometimes not spent. You are concerned about what your property tax levels are. You are concerned about your kids' education. You are concerned about corruption. You're concerned about open government. You're concerned about being able to approach your government, getting answers, understanding what it is they do and why they do it. So we're going to be talking about all of that. I have talked to you enough. It is already 5:15. Let's introduce our guests. I'm going to be also, I should say, we were expecting a third guest, Marianne Velez. She had a late cancellation. She is healthy. She is fine, but she simply couldn't be with us this week. We regret that, but she will join us at a later program. We had such a big response from local candidates, to be blunt with you, all over the country to join the program this week. We literally couldn't get them all in. It wouldn't be fair to all of them. So we are planning one, if not more, of these local roundtables before the general election across the country. So sad that Marianne can't be here, but she'll be with us in a future date. So let's be a little old fashioned, and I will go ladies first. So Kristy Moore, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So Kristy, tell me, who is Kristy Moore? How did you get here?
How did I get here? So I live in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. It is in the northwestern part of Lancaster County. I'm not from here, though. I'm actually born and raised in Philadelphia in the Roxborough section. And we moved here in 2017 because of my husband's place of employment. And I'm actually a public school teacher. So we've lived in a couple different parts of Pennsylvania before we settled here. We have 2 kids, and we pretty much said wherever we were when the children were school aged, that's where we were going to stay. So they are 7 and 8, going into 1st grade and 3rd grade. And we love it here. Now, as far as why I'm here on this program as a candidate, I'd like to say it goes back to like high school. I always found myself in positions of leadership, like on student council. I was a captain of the cheerleading squad and volleyball. But when we moved to Lancaster, I finally found an opportunity to get involved with politics. And I became a volunteer for the Just King for Congress campaign, and was really inspired by the number of just like regular people that were getting involved because they believed in this candidate and they really felt like they could make a difference. And it caused me to reflect and say, you know, what skills do you have? What can you do to help your community? And because of my experience as a teacher, school board was just a natural place. So I did run in 2019 and I lost. And here I am again in 2021 running again. So yeah, that's what brings me here tonight.
Kristy, thank you. And also our other guest, I shouldn't say other guest. Why do I say other like I'm dismissing you, Dan Corcoran? I shouldn't do such a thing.
Come on, Jeff.
Our other guest is Dan Corcoran. Dan is running again for Township Commissioner in Ridley Township. Dan, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jeff. And hello, Kristy. How are you?
So Dan, who is Dan Corcoran and how did you get here?
Dan, I'm just a regular guy. I'm the regular guy you're going to see in the street every day, going to work. So basically, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for almost 10 years, and I really want to give back. I have a wonderful family, and that's probably the only reason I'm still here, because they stuck with me. So I'm that guy that, you know, yells at the TV. You know, watch the news all day, and I'm just pissed off. And so I started getting involved with the Ridley Democrats, who the chair is Ruth Ann Davidson. So she had, you know, mentioned me running a few times, and, you know, I work retail, work crazy hours. So, you know, I turned it down because I want to be able to give my all. But there was really a great opportunity that came up, one of the commissioners stepping down, and I decided to run. You know, there's some things that are going on in Ridley Township that I'm not really too happy with. Some alleged corruption. I hate injustice. I hate corruption. I hate abuse of power. And, you know, I'm just here to see what I can do to bring some transparency, some oversight to the board. And that's, you know, that's what brought me here.
I think you both touched on something that is really, really important. And I think and I will touch on what I hope are, you know, scores of actually really important things as we proceed. But as we get started and work our way through who you are, how you got here, what you're running on, why you're running on, let me ask you that. Dan, that's you know, it doesn't take any small measure of, you know, as we say in the ancient Gaelic, jewels, to sit there and say, I'm a recovering alcoholic. That's not a small thing. But it does also, as you said, point out the fact that you are a regular person. You are not born and raised as a politician. You're not the straight politician right out of a test tube. You know, like the former state rep we had here in this area, you know, never had a private sector job and just immediately ran for office out of law school, that kind of thing. You're just a regular guy. How important do you think it is? And both of you, I'll throw it open. You know, we don't have 20 people here, so I think, you know, we won't step on each other too much. But really, for both of you, how important do you think it is? I know that Kristy, you did run before, but how important do you think it is that quote unquote regular people, not just the lawyers, not just the former staffers, not just the lobbyists, not just the wealthy, not just the whoever the biggest business owner is in your area, that the quote unquote, person on the street, man or woman on the street, or non-binary man on the street, that the quote unquote regular person step up and say, we can do more. We have to run. And this is one way we can do more. We can run for office. How important do you think that is?
I'll go first if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Let's stick with the ladies first rule all night,
Okay.
and then I'll keep myself out of trouble, and we'll keep ourselves. We'll be a little old fashioned.
You don't have to, but I'm also the district leader of the Elizabethtown Democratic Committee, and part of my responsibility is to recruit candidates. And this is a conversation I had with a fellow candidate. Her name's Sarah Zahn. She's running with me. She's amazing. But in our conversation, it was like, I'm a mom. I have this business with my husband. I just don't know if I'm going to have the time. And I said, but people like us need to be able to run, because they're going to be that board is going to be making decisions for people like us. And if we can't sit on that board and have a voice, then how are they going to know who is speaking for us? Local government needs to represent everyone, and it needs to work for everyone. So everyone should be able to run for office. And I think that's been something that was something that convinced her to say, okay, fine, I'll do it. And we're trying to do things to even make our local government be more receptive to families. Like our school board meetings used to not be streamed. You would only be able to be involved if you could attend in person. Well, if you're a working parent with young kids, I did bring my kids to a couple school board meetings. It never worked out well. The one time they were like running around the library. It's not going to work. There were never any parents at the meetings. So by doing something like streaming them, right, so that parents at home can be listening while they're cooking.
You would think
dinner.
would have been a natural outcome of the last 18 months.
Yeah, and it probably was because of that. But I had been speaking and advocating for that. We need to do things that allow regular people, all people, to have a voice and be involved.
Dan, how about you? How important do you think it is for folks like you who have had you've had issues in the past? You just stared into a camera and said it, but you've overcome them and you've thrived since, and you have you're solid, stable, work, great family, love your family, good kids, nice home, good town. How important is it for people with maybe even with or without, but maybe even with the past like yourself, to say, you know what, I not beat this. I know we don't talk about addiction in that fashion, but I think you understand what I'm trying to get at, that, after a decade, we're in a relatively good, we're in a pretty damn good place. I know every day is a struggle. I'm not, stupid enough to not know that that's the mantra, we take it a day. But how important is it for folks like you, perhaps even with a past that they think would disqualify them in some way, to say, no, you know what, I've cleaned, I'm okay, I'm good. And now it's time, whether it's the community or the folks that help me, now it's time for me to do more. How important is it?
Oh, I mean, it's vital. I'm hoping people are going to take a look at me. I mean, I keep saying the regular guy, but I am, I'm this 5'8" guy running around, spouting off about things I don't like, things I see, and I implore other people to do it. And, there's just some things going on in the township. Allegedly, I want to emphasize that, allegedly, that are just, they're wrong. And there's a lot of people that don't know about it, because we have the same people in there all the time. We have the same 9 commissioners. We have one guy, the president of the commissioners. They ask a question, everybody looks at him, he throws something out. I mean, I'm that regular guy that's going to ask why. Why are things like this? I mean, it's affecting the regular.
I think folks that are in office tend to get dramatically oversensitive about that question.
Sure.
Why is this way?
Absolutely. And
Because
they
they tend to take it from the point of view that you're automatically questioning what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Sometimes we simply don't understand what you're doing. And if you just told us, we might just sit back and go, yeah, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was against that when I heard it, but now that you've explained it, it makes sense. Or 98% of what you told me makes sense. I'm not sure about that one thing. And isn't it those conversations that government is supposed to be about, by the way, but that can actually possibly help break down this sort of, we're the politicians, you're the public, we're here, you're over there. No, we won't Zoom with you. Don't call us. You're limited to 3, as we do here in Lower Saucon Township after 3 fascists took over our township board, our township council. Sorry, 3 minutes for comments, and if we decide not to answer you, we turn your mic off, no rebuttal, and go home. Except, by the way, when we want you to vote for us again. But other than that, shut up and go the hell home. How important are these conversations, Kristy, do you think? Just that you might, I understand that you're running against folks, but sometimes if they just took 10 seconds to say, wait, I know that doesn't sound to you, you're standing up and saying, I don't. But if we just understood, maybe it would change the entire focus or change the whole landscape of what it is that we're standing up and rattling about.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be more opportunities like for those conversations. When I first started attending meetings, it would be myself and then an older gentleman from the community. And then the rest of the room was just the principals and administrators. And the school directors would say, why isn't the public here? Why aren't more people involved? Or they would make a decision and then there'd be a lot of like upheaval and people would say, you know, they never told us about this. Well, there just wasn't a good system for communication between the board and the community. And we need to do things that help to bridge that gap and allow for those conversations to happen.
Dan, how about you? I know in our preparatory conversations for the program, regular viewers and listeners will know that I do everything in the world to speak to. I've had a couple that I didn't have a chance to chat with, but I usually chat with our guests ahead of time so they know what to expect. They know how the program's going to run. In our preparatory conversations, you said the same thing to me, that there's zero communication from the township commissioners down. And maybe it's a whole different topic, but why there are 9 commissioners in a township the size of yours, I think is fascinating, but that's beside the point. Unless you're, 9 folks want to run for 9 folks want to be in the beauty pageant. They all want to win.
Members out there job. So, maybe we'll.
But how you're not having those conversations in Ridley, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And it's something clearly that I'm, needless to say, you want to change.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure it's partly, if not exclusively, why you're running.
Yeah, I mean, there's no communication. I mean, you have this, like, I saw someone post on Facebook, this secret board of commissioners, and that's how it feels. They have their monthly meeting. Nobody goes. Nobody even knows about it. They might announce it the day before. There's no archive where you can look up the past meetings. There's no minutes, which I believe there is a law that states that they must.
I believe the Open Public Meetings Act actually states that there has to be minutes, and they're public record, and they must be able to be produced at any time. You should not have to file freedom of information or right to know, as we call it in Pennsylvania, right to know.
Of course, yeah.
Request just to get the meetings from your own township council. No.
Very familiar with the right to knows. Ridley Township, if you want to know anything, you pretty much have to file a right to know, and then you get the run around on those. Oh, we don't have enough people. We need an extension. I mean, there is just zero transparency, oversight, nothing, no accountability. The community needs to know about these meetings. It needs to be an announcement. We got a meeting coming up. It's that time of the month again. Come on out, ask your questions. They don't want you to ask questions. They don't want that. That's why it is the way it is, because they don't want to be questioned. And they're finally starting to be questioned, and they don't have the answers. It's just, I can't believe this is happening in my own community. It's absurd. And a lot of people don't know about it.
5:31 Eastern time. We're already a quick half hour into the program. You are listening, watching, however you are consuming. Thank you for being there. We are live. It is the 15th of August, 2021. Our guests are Kristy Moore, running for school board in Elizabethtown, PA, and Dan Corcoran, running for township commissioner in Ridley Township, PA. Wherever you might be watching or listening across the Facebook universe, thank you very much for being there. Every last one of you. You can stay exactly where you are, continue to watch, continue to listen, whatever it is. But if you want to comment, interact with us, he tried to say, I'm having real problems today. The brain connection from here to here is not working great today. If you want to comment, question, yell, scream, agree, disagree, whatever that might be, I will see it only if you come to our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. I have to tell you, this seems to happen more and more as the program gets more and more proliferated throughout the media world. Folks are commenting, sending me questions where I share the program to other groups. I never see it, and they tend to think that I'm ignoring them or I'm afraid of their question. There's not a question you can ask me that I'm going to be afraid of and that I probably can't answer. And if it's coming from a certain political point of view, I'll destroy it. That said, I can't do it if I don't see it. I will only see your comments and questions if you come to the home Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. However, there are so many wonderful groups: the New Deal Democrats, Lehigh Valley Progressive Network, the Young Democrats of Lehigh Valley, Battleground Pennsylvania, Our Future, all three of them actually, Western, Central, and I'm forgetting the third one, which really is embarrassing. Our Revolution Philadelphia, West Philly, actually, the Legislative and Policy Group. There's so many wonderful, wonderful groups that allow this program to be shown in their group. Please, if that is where you are comfortable watching them, by all means, stay there. Heck, have a watch party for all I care. If the New Deal Democrats all want to jump on the page and watch the program, please do it. I encourage it. I just won't see the questions or comments unless you come to the home group, That Other Side of Information. Hot101.net, thank you for being there again. We are so proud to be part of the Hot101.net family. You can listen to Hot101.net at the main website, Hot101.net. Apple App Store, Google Play Store to get the Hot101.net app, or the TuneIn Radio app. Go to the search bar and type in Hot101.net. And of course, now we're about 5 weeks maybe into this really exciting new happening. You can tell Alexa to play Hot101.net. To our new family at TCP, the Cultured Professional in Lancaster, thank you for allowing us on your screens and for being part of your family. And if you are listening on global internet from TCP, WTCP, thank you for being here. We appreciate every single last one of you, however that you might take in the program. Remember, after the program ends live, it will stay everywhere that it has been shared across Facebook. You can always scroll through the timelines of the groups, find it, tap on it, watch and listen. And if you miss any of the program, you can go to our YouTube channel, probably the best place to find the recorded versions of the program. That is our library. That is our repository. Every single episode of this program is on our YouTube channel, which is also called That Other Side of Information. We're on Instagram at That Other Side of Information. You can become a Patreon subscriber, That Other Side of Information. I remembered to do a TikTok. I'm on a real roll. I think I'm 6 weeks on the trot. So I remembered. I did it about 40 whole minutes before the program aired, but I remembered to do it. You can find us on TikTok at That Other Side of Information. Let me look at my cheat sheet. I think I got everything. I have a cheat sheet over here to remember everywhere to tell you to look. We appreciate you very, very much. Let's get back to our guests. Kristy, tell me about running in what we would refer to as an odd year. I refuse to label it an off year election because there are no off years, when you were deciding who is going to run, be a voice, I was going to say control, I don't really like that word, but be a part of any of your local or county governmental systems, then it really isn't an off year, is it? But it is an odd year in that it ends in a 1, ends in an odd number. Tell me about running. I know that this is the only thing that you've run for, but being a member of your Democratic committee, you know the difference between this type of race or a state house race or a state senate race or even a gubernatorial race. Tell me about the differences of running in a quote unquote odd year as opposed to an even year or even a presidential year.
Sure. So, and I've been involved in all of them. So I know when I ran, so I volunteered for the congressional campaign. And then when I ran right after, I expected like all of those same volunteers and all of that same momentum and all that same energy to follow. And it didn't. It really surprised me how there was kind of this drop off in interest. And it didn't make sense, right? Just like you said, these school boards, they have more control probably over your day-to-day life than anyone else. So it does continue to be a challenge. I'm not sure why, but people just seem to be less interested or just maybe need a break after, maybe especially after this year. It was so divisive over the past
remains
4 years.
so, sadly, and it remains that way.
And I think some people are just like, I need to step away, or I don't know. I don't think the attitude is who cares. Maybe it's, I just don't know what's going on, because they're not getting things in the mail. They're not seeing TV commercials. They're not hearing radio commercials.
Why should it
certainly
be
a challenge?
Why should it be that difficult, Dan, to raise awareness or certainly get a better voter participation rate than 25%? Again, I'm working a bit off of memory. I believe it was 25% in the 2019 election. We know that we pay property taxes. We know we pay federal income tax. We know we pay state income tax. We tend to, but if we turn on CNN, they're not exactly leading the news with Ridley Township or Elizabethtown, but yet that really is the first source of where, certainly a property owner, the first source of where your taxes are going are that school and that municipality. Why do you think it's so hard to raise awareness or get voter participation in these quote unquote odd years? I mean, we discussed that you're facing quite a low voter participation or voter turnout in the ward for Ridley that you're running in. But why do you think it's so difficult to garner attention or importance or just plain old voter participation? I mean, it takes me a whopping 15 minutes, I think, when I go to the polls.
I'll tell you, I mean, for my own ignorance, before I started running, I really did not pay attention to local elections. I hate to say that because since I've been running, I realize how important it is. But I'm getting away from the actual question. I mean, the passion and the anger and the division of, the last election, God, people need a break. That was intense. Two sides just were so for their opponent and so against the other. And, there was just a lot going on. And I think people they just don't even know about the election. A lot of people, November 3rd, be like, oh, there's an election this year. There's elections every year. And like I said, I'm guilty of it myself, but God, the local elections are so important. What happens in Ridley Township? Trump versus Biden, that has nothing to do with it. I'm not coming to take away your guns. I'm not promoting Medicare for all. I'm running to serve my community that is really just grossly underserved. And, it's just really it's a challenge to get that awareness out there. I mean, nobody knows who the hell I am, and now they see me. They're getting to know me. So I just, you just got to work extra hard. I mean, I was canvassing today. I canvassed for a couple hours with Mike Hayes, who's running for school board, who's a great guy, and I just really got to hit the ground running and get your name out there because.
How many folks roughly how many doors did you make it to today?
I would say maybe 30 or so.
And how many of the folks at those 30 doors knew there was an election? Not just either knew or did not know you, but even knew there was an election.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's hard to say. They seem surprised that anybody was knocking at their door talking about elections. So I would say maybe a handful. Yeah, I mean, just
maybe 10 out of the 30 maybe even knew there was an election coming or less. Yeah.
Couple.
Kristy, how do we raise that awareness? Candidate campaigns, public service campaigns, the campaign, and it is a campaign, by the way, to get people to take a vaccination or to get a flu shot or to make sure you get your car inspected or wear your seatbelt. These are campaigns. These are advertising campaigns in some respects, which is not wholly dissimilar from a political campaign. How does your campaign, how do local office candidates or even sitting officials running for re-election, how do you generate that kind of engagement or excitement and say, look, we need you to come out. There's another election. We need you to know about this. And we not only need you to know about it, we need you to show up.
Yeah, so I do live in a very conservative area, and the Republican voters are very active. There are, I think it's like 2 to 1, maybe even more. So I know for Democrats, we have to get them to come out. One, I hate to say it, but money helps. And we have one party here in Lancaster County that is funded by, big donors. My opponents didn't even have to make a political committee. Their E-Town Republican Committee could take donations from our state senator, from our congressman, where Sarah and I and the other person we're running with, Jagger, we're depending on local people to donate, family and friends, whether it's $5, $20. So I mean, money certainly helps. As a committee person, though, too, something that we've been trying to do is, 365 days a year, just trying to reach out to people and having more of a presence in our community so that they know we are here and that we are always doing the work. There's 2 election days a year, but we can be doing this work all the time. And it's a struggle, but we keep trying. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Is your opposition slate of candidates getting that level of financial support? As you mentioned, is this a big money race? Because we know in the past, the Kochs themselves, the Koch brothers and the Koch network. Now, remember, folks at home, the Koch network funnels through more money, cycles through, brings in and spends, contributes and spends more money than both political parties combined, and has more permanent, quote unquote, permanent full-time employees than both parties combined. And they spend money down to the lowest, again, that's a bit of a pejorative term, but I think you know what I'm saying. The lowest levels of government that can be elected in this country. They have spent money on village constable races. They spend lots of money on school board races. They have bought city and town councils across the country, counties, especially where there happens to be fossil fuels, So are you, Kristy, facing that? Are you facing, I should say, maybe an inordinate level of money than you would expect to be spent on a school board election?
Yes, and I see a difference now too. I mean, when I ran in 2019, I was the only, it was 5 incumbents and then myself. I don't think they invested a lot of money into that race because I didn't successfully cross file. It was going to be a huge feat if I had been successful then. But now there are other candidates, and we successfully cross filed in the primary, but didn't all make it out of that process. So now there are 4 Republican candidates and 3 Democratic candidates vying for 4 positions. And they did spend money this primary because we were all on the Republican ballot that they did not spend last time.
For the folks at home and for the folks listening quite literally around the globe, no pressure, just a global audience. This cross filing is a terribly unique Pennsylvania quirk. Makes it sound cute. It's not. It's dirty, to be honest. But it is a reality of the office that you're running for. Judicial candidates can do the same thing. I find very interesting that judicial candidates can cross file, school board candidates can cross file, but nobody else. So that tells you straight out the gate that there's something smelly about it. Could you please explain and or define what that means? What does cross filing mean?
Sure. And that's another thing that in the community, people are like, wait, you're on both ballots? So it's a question I get all the time. So judges and school boards, they should be nonpartisan positions. So I really do like the idea behind it because it's supposed to say your personal politics, your personal agenda is not going to find its way into my child's classroom. It's not going to find its way into your decisions.
Whether you're a member of the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, 2 + 2 is still 4.
Yes. So what happens is you have to find a person from a registered voter from the other party who will collect signatures for you. It's only 10 signatures to say, hey, she's a Democrat, but she's cool. I think she would be a great school director. And even though she's a Democrat, we can have her on the Republican ballot and vice versa. So if you do get all the Democratic votes and then you get all the Republican votes, a lot of times then the election is decided in the primary, which is unfortunate because there's even fewer people that participate in the primary.
If folks have a pretty darn good idea of what the outcome is going to be, they are less likely to take part.
Mm-hmm. So I could have ended up in November on the Democratic ballot and on the Republican ballot. But I did get enough signatures to get on to the Republican ballot in the primary, as did the other 2 people I'm running with. But we did not make it onto the general in both.
Because I would hazard a guess that Republicans simply vote in lockstep way more than Democrats. We tend to think and look at folks, and we don't just go straight to the initial at the end of the name. Dan, as a first-time candidate, how imposing maybe is the right word, when you figured out, when you're going through the process of like, all right, well, I'll run for this. I think most people tend to think that I'll buy some flyers, I'll buy some signs, I'll stick them in the ground, and we're off and running. We're good to go. That doesn't work that way here in the Commonwealth. There are places that you don't need signatures to get on a ballot at all. You fill out a form and you're good. We do it differently here. We have to gather signatures. You can't put a yard sign out until 45 days before the general election. This is a different time from a health standpoint as far as canvassing or public speaking and so on and so on. So that's a whole different thing. But, when you're sitting at the kitchen table with the family and you're saying, I think I want to do this, and you start going through the steps and learning what you have to do, and you get to that point, because I do think it scares a lot of people out of the process. Wait, I have to go door to door and ask people to sign a paper for me just to get on the primary ballot, which if I have an opponent, I might not even win that. How imposing was that to say, wow, I'm going to have to go get these signatures. I got to get this paper filled out.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to say my question really isn't, did it scare you, but did you kind of think like, oh, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like fun at all.
yeah, I mean, hey, it's United States of America, and I got to go out and get permission to run. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was scary, but it's awkward. I mean, I was asked to run pretty late. I think it was February, and told I have to go get signatures to be able to get on the ballot. And it's only 10, but let's make sure you get 20 because they might scrutinize those, some of those signatures. Yeah, it was a little strange, but once you start knocking on those doors, and obviously it's just going to be Democrats when you're trying to get, on the ballot. So you have some people are kind of like, yeah, way to go. I'm going to support you. And then you start feeling pretty good. You start feeling more comfortable. And hey, it's the process. It is what it is. And,
because you are not allowed in the office that you are running for to cross file. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So you had to get a whopping 10 signatures.
Well, hey, in Ridley Township,
it's saying something, huh?
It wasn't that bad. I think I got 20 and, called it wrapped it up.
How much money do you think you've spent so far, either of you, roughly, which is public knowledge, so we're not breaking any, rules here, but have you found yourself that you've had to spend more than you thought you were going to spend? Are you surprised at the amount of money being spent against you? Are you, again, Kristy, I know you ran 2 years ago, but Dan, are you surprised at all about the amount of money that tends to flow through even a very local race like yours?
I'll tell you what, I'm not really involved a whole lot in the financial end. So far, I mean, hey, I got a lot of literature, we got enough money for that, but there's not really a lot coming in. So, when I say I'm a regular guy, I don't even know what we're spending, but I know we don't have a lot. We haven't done a meet and greet. Obviously that's going to take, it's going to take some fundraising to do something like that. So yeah, we're really, it's basically me and a few other people against the establishment. And I don't think they're spending any money. I think they just take it for granted year after year that they're going to win. And, they have a candidate this year. I mean, I don't know what the word on the street is, but, I have a big mouth and I'm pissed off at what I'm seeing. And so who knows? I don't know what they're doing. I really don't.
Kristy, how about the money flowing through your race? Is it a surprise? Are you taken aback by it? Is it what you thought it would be? What are your thoughts?
I mean, last time it was under $1,000. I bought some yard signs, had a couple events, combined with the other person that I'm running with, Sarah. We're over $10,000, $11,000 maybe that we've raised. We haven't spent all of it. We've spent a lot of it.
Well, there's time.
Yeah, and
there's still time.
Yeah, and I mean, yard sign. We did mailers this time. I've gained a lot of knowledge and have been able to make some better.
Well, tell me
decisions.
about that. How much did you learn 2 years ago that you have been able to put into this race and say, well, I figured that out the hard way, or wow, I really remember this thing being a thing 2 years ago. We're not going to do that again.
I feel like every step along the way, I'm like, okay, here's what I did last time, and either I'm going to do it differently or I'm just going to do it better. So a lot of people have said, candidates lose their first time around. Don't be discouraged. And I'm so glad that I listened to them because, now that I have all of this, I'm able to put it to use. And I mean, even not having won in the primary, we earned a lot of Republican votes. The ballot questions really drove up the Republican votes this time around.
The ones in 20 you're talking about,
Yes.
or the constitutional.
I'm sorry,
the
yes,
constitutional
in the
questions in the primary,
Mhm.
right? Which is why they were there.
Yes.
Not
So
because we actually care about issues, but because if we can use them to make people show up, that's really good.
but when we looked at our data, like the Republicans that we did speak with through canvassing, through our mailers, like we did pretty well. So we just have to keep chipping away at that.
Are the Republicans that you know, and given your position inside the Democratic Party, I'm sure you have one of the things I found very interesting about my own county chair, I'm fortunate enough to call friend and not just colleague, but friend, is the regular, what seems to be regular contact he has with his Republican counterparts. It might be at an event, it might be at, there's a politician traveling through, there's a meeting here, a meeting there, or this particular governmental body's meeting, is how what sounds like somewhat regular contact with his Republican counterparts. When you have contact with your Republican counterparts or self-identified Republicans, I don't think there's many real ones. I think they are largely because it's what they've been told and they haven't fought for themselves. Do they give you to your face, look, we like you, you're a good person and all that, but you got that D at the back, so we simply can't do it? Or do they listen? Are they completely intractable, or is there some space? Is there a channel that you can navigate?
I mean, I think there's always a channel, and it's the conversations that I think make the biggest difference. The last time I canvassed, the person whose door I knocked on, I mean, she said right at the beginning, I know who you are, and I know your party. I'm just not going to vote for you. And she said, I don't agree with your values. And I said, well, let's talk about this, because I bet you we do have some common values. And
I think we have more common values, actually, to be honest. They are not the party of values, period. End of story. Not. When you deny people, and again, it's a school board race, I get it. So we're not talking about lofty national issues, but at the heart of it is an economic platform that denies people the ability to actually even exist. And if that's not a value to you, then you probably don't have any. If your fellow man doesn't deserve to see a doctor, eat, or in this case, get your kids to school, and in a school that's not falling down or has asbestos or has a class size under 40, then it's your values that are askew, not democratic values, not even small d democratic values or large d democratic values, because those are our values. We'd like your kids to actually get an education. How crazy and radical and wild are we? We'd like you to get an education. We'd like the school building not to be falling down or not be poisoned. Quite literally, by the way, the water pipes or the asbestos that's probably left in there. We think the disgusting amount of money that's being funneled into for-profit charters is reprehensible. Government's job is public schools. It's part of the commons. Those are our values. What values, what the hell values are we even talking about that those could be disagreed with?
And I think when you then talk about them, everybody wants their kid to be able to go to a good school. Everybody wants they want children to have access to these good schools. And then we do talk about local issues. Right now, they are proposing that we consolidate our 4 elementary schools basically into 2, and people feel very strongly about that one way or the other. And talking about those things and how I would come to make
because it's supposed to be efficient, or because we can fire half the teachers.
So those are the questions that I want the answers to.
Yeah. I'd lean toward the latter. I might not say it in public, but I would lean toward the latter.
So when you can have that conversation and they see that I'm not a demon, I mean, that you know how, well, I don't know if you know, but the way that Democrats are portrayed as
Look, I have said on this program on a weekly basis, and I said it earlier in this program, and you are candidates. You don't have to say it. You don't have to agree with it on camera if you don't want to. You can, I'm saying this as the host of this program. There are very few, very, very few genuine, real Republicans. Republicans are not a functioning political party any longer. In fact, they completely fit the textbook definition of a corporation. The elected officials who hold the Republican R and the party officials of the former functioning party, they have taken it upon themselves to make their only job to funnel as much money toward the top as they possibly can. And that means stripping you of healthcare, stripping your kids of an education, stripping the roads of maintenance, stripping buildings of maintenance, keeping the fossil fuel industry well taken care of. Those are the people that own them. It is the definition of a corporation. They are the employees. The owners are the stockholders, the top 1% in the largest corporations, the ones that drown them in campaign cash. The best investment in the country right now and in the Commonwealth is a politician. When you look at the amount of money that was given to Republican politicians to pass the 2017 Republican Trump, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell tax cut, it was a 700-to-1 return. If you could get a 700-to-1 return, you'd probably invest, even if all you could scrape together was $5. And for some of us, $5 is still a lot of freaking money. So this is what we're talking about. You guys don't have to say a word. I'll do all of it. There's very few real Republicans because you're not part of the party structure. You are not a temporarily inconvenienced billionaire. And you don't, every poll in the country shows, you don't even agree with what your party's trying to do. But at the end of the day, you see an R and you poke it or you tap it or you write it in on your mail-in because Sean Hannity told you to. I think you're better than that. I think you're all better than that. And I think you're smarter than that. And I think it's a lot easier to make those kind of people in an electorate that is ill-educated. And that is why school boards are so important. Are we going to actually do wild and crazy and radical things like, I don't know, teach kids? Or are we going to stand up and scream about critical race theory because then we can't teach kids? Are we going to have school buildings where class sizes can be the optimal? And every research study shows you that the optimal class size is 15 to 18. Or are we going to find a way to destroy teachers' unions and fire a bunch of qualified teachers and we'll jam the kids into two buildings? We'll have class sizes of 30, 40, 50. Those are values. Those are values. And they are our values. That it is a common societal responsibility to educate our youth because they become better citizens. They are productive. They contribute to the economy. They are free and they are safe. And the self-identified, well, the Republican corporation doesn't believe in any of it. You're a profit center until you're not. Then, since you don't have any health coverage anyway, go under a bridge underpass and die. And yeah, damn it, it is that plain. It is that plain. It's 6:05 Eastern time. We're already an hour in. Hopefully it doesn't feel like it to our guests, but we're already an hour into the program. This is the Kennedy Effect, and you are watching and listening to us live. It is the 15th of August already. We are halfway through the 8th month of the year. 2021 is flying by, and sadly, summer is as well. Although it's been a proper hot summer. Let's just be honest. It was 100 degrees in Philadelphia on Thursday and 110 with the heat index in both Philadelphia and Manhattan. And it was 104, I think it was in Portland, Oregon last week and 100 in Seattle. No climate change to see here, folks. Move along. CRT, CRT, CRT. Don't pay attention to half the globe is on fire. Wherever you are watching and listening to across the Facebook universe, thank you. Every single one of you. If you want to comment, talk to us, ask questions, anything that you might want to do, come to the home group Facebook page, that other side of information. Hot101.net, one of the original global internet outlets, and we are proud to be part of the family. The main website, hot101.net, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and the TuneIn Radio app. And of course, our newest family, the TCP family, the Cultured Professional, based in Lancaster, a homegrown business. We are on your Facebook page, your Roku channel, and your global internet radio outlet, WTCP. If you have a product, service, you are your business, anything of the sort, you can advertise with us. Please drop us an email. Let's talk about it. And I can read your ad right here on the air to an entire global audience. thatotherkennedy@gmail.com. You can tweet us at that Kennedy Talk, and we will open up the phone lines very shortly. Keep an eye on your screens, and I will start giving the number, and we will take your calls. Let's move to the issues section here, if we will. I took all kinds of notes on how I wanted to proceed for the program. I'm kidding. I have a blank pad in front of me. I don't really plan that much. Dan, what are the big issues either that motivated you to run and or you are learning as you move through the process?
Well, not to be repetitive, but the number one is the lack of transparency. No oversight, no accountability. But you know what? We don't know where our tax dollars are going. You know, we ask questions. We see, vacant buildings. You go up McDade Boulevard, the people who are watching in Ridley Township are going to know what I'm talking about. You see a lot of vacant buildings. We just had National Night Out the other day. What was it? August 3rd? There were so many townships participating.
I'm blanking on the actual date, but I understand.
Yeah.
It was very recent. It was in the very recent.
Sure.
It was last week, but it was it was sometime last week, but it was very recent.
Yeah. But I look on Facebook, I see all these townships. I mean, it's great. And I mean, it's not partisan. It's really not. You see people coming together.
No, community and public safety should not be partisan, should it?
Yeah. But the point is, you see all these townships doing it. Springfield Township, it looked fun. What are we doing, Ridley? Nothing, not a thing.
And it builds communities.
Of course, yeah.
Because what do you do when you're out there on the street in National Night Out? You talk to each other.
There's no community.
And the public talks. The public talks to the police. The police talk to the public. The neighbors talk to each other.
Yep. Well, when you have an FBI investigation that's happening, that's going on with, the head of the commissioners, the president of the commissioners, the president of the police captain. I mean, of course, they don't want to get out there. They don't want to have the public talking to them. So, I mean, the issues really are, it's really about the accountability, just getting in there and asking questions, figuring out what the hell is going on and why. I mean, why is, I have 5 pages here. It's a family tree. I mean, this township is basically run by a big family. And they don't care about the community. I don't care who says differently. They don't. You can drive up McDade Boulevard and you could see, I mean, these cash for gold shops, these empty buildings. I mean, you look down around, Crumlin, and it's just, there's rats. I mean, there's a gas station, Chester Pike, you have rats running across it. It's a mess. I mean, this whole township is an absolute.
So it's a run. You
and it
consider
doesn't
it
have to be.
You
okay?
consider it to be a bit run down. It's not taken care of. There's no pride. There's no
Absolutely. They just don't care.
sense of community.
Yeah. Nothing. And, we talk about Ridley pride. I mean, I have Ridley pride. A lot of people do. But, I mean, come on, we're better than this.
Don't you have to kind of have some community pride to even take on this sort of adventure to run for office in the first place?
Of course.
You have to know that there's better. You have to envision that there can be better.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a nobody. I'm an average everyday guy, but I'm sick of this crap. No, I love my community. I grew up in Delaware County. I mean, Ridley Township, Delaware County, it's all the same thing. And I've seen great things in Delaware County, and I don't see it out of Ridley Township. And I'm not putting down the township as a whole. It's great. I love it here. It's been good to me, but it can be so much better, and it should be. You know, there's resources where we can do these things. We can clean this up. We can get small businesses back here. There's no excuse for it. None.
It's a large not knowing your community, and I freely, openly admit I don't know it. And I told you when we were preparing for the program, if I've been to Ridley, it's because I drove through it, and I probably didn't know it when I was doing it. I'm just being blunt. I'm not putting down Ridley. I'm just saying I don't think I've been there. Delaware County, though, obviously is a collar county to Philadelphia. Is a large amount of Ridley commuters into Philly? Would you say?
Sure.
Why do you suppose then, because my answer would be local government, but why do you suppose that and let's, you know, it isn't going to come, this statement's going to come as a shock to absolutely no one. Philadelphia is not perfect, but it obviously has transformed itself to a large extent from its worst times, probably I would say in the 80s. Maybe late 70s into the 80s. It has transformed itself quite a long way. Not every resident is thrilled, but then when you have a couple million people, you're not going to please everybody. Why do you think that what the commuting public or the commuting members of your community can see, get, experience, be a part of in a cleaned up, again, not perfect, but a cleaned up, transformed development building? You can't go through Philadelphia and not see a crane building something brand new. Why do you think that sense has not come back to Ridley, and them and those same folks look around Ridley when they're driving home and go, why can't we do what they're doing? Obviously at a smaller scale, because there's not 2-point-something million people in Ridley, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Why do you suppose that have people become complacent? Have they
Sure.
Are they just accepting that, like, we can't do that kind of stuff here? We only get to go to Philadelphia to see cool stuff?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, they're saying it year after year, you know, and they got the same people there in office, and Democrats, they won't step up, they won't run. So, I mean, you go to vote, and who do you have on there? Republicans. Unopposed. Okay.
And when you're unopposed, you only need one vote.
Sure.
Quite literally. You only need
Probably
one.
some people out there saying, you're bashing Ridley. I mean, no, I'm not. I love Ridley Township. I live here. I'm running because I want to make my community better. I care about it.
That's an interesting thing. Democrats really do get a lot of stick. And I could use a much dirtier word, but we don't swear on the program unless I lose my, and then I don't, and then I do occasionally. Occasionally it flies out. But I've never dropped an F-bomb on the program. I have said the crap word a couple of times because it got a bit worked up, but we generally don't swear on the program because we do have minors that listen, believe it or not. Why do you suppose that this is a hard question? This is going to be a very hard question. It's an uncomfortable question. It's a difficult question, Dan, but I want to ask your opinion. I need you to think about this and really ask your opinion.
Sure.
When you see Ridley in the condition that it's in, and when you see the same people over and over and over again elected to office, and all of their family members, friends, and so on appointed to positions where they're all making real good money, but yet your neighbors will complain, well, we don't like this, and we don't like this, and this isn't right. And did you see that this guy just hired his buddy or his friend or his wife or his son or whatever for this, and now they're both getting 6-figure salaries and healthcare and all that stuff, but my taxes keep going up? At what point, again, this is the difficult, uncomfortable part of the question, at what point do you look to that obviously you're not going to do this as a candidate, but as a neighbor, what point do you look at those folks and say, you get the government? Sometimes you get the government you deserve because you didn't vote, or because you don't go to the council meetings or the school board meetings, or you didn't run, or you didn't work for the other guy, or you didn't try to find the other guy. When do you cross the Rubicon of you get the government you deserve sometimes? Because I'm convinced that you do. How do you have that conversation with folks before, maybe even before you were running?
You're right. That is a tough question.
I know it's a tough question and might not even be a fair one. And if you don't think it's fair, you're welcome to feel that way. You're an adult. You can have your opinions, but isn't that part of the process to say that we complain about this and we complain and we complain and we complain? What are we actually doing? When's the last time you went to a council meeting and watched it?
Of course. I'm answering that question by being here. I'm answering that question tonight.
By showing up and by
I'm trying to get some exposure. I'm trying to say, look, I'm out here. I care. I care about my township. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care just to piggyback off what you were saying, democratic values. Yeah, I'm a Democrat. I mean, my values align with the Democratic Party. But I'll tell you what, I've seen some Democrats along the way since I've been running. Typical politicians. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not getting paid for this, and I don't want to get paid for it. I'm running because I want my community to realize that, it's just not right what's going on here. I want people to speak up. I'm speaking up. I'm trying to tell you, listen, there's some things going on that you probably don't know about. I do, and I want to change it. I want to make Ridley Township what it can and what it should be.
I had someone last time around, when I knocked on the door, he said, are you going to raise my taxes? Because, every year the taxes are going up and up. And I said, well, anybody that says no to that is lying to you. I can't make that promise, and nobody can. I said, but if you voted for these other people, then that's who you're going to vote for again. They're the ones that were raising your taxes.
That's exactly my point.
If you travel
through the old Confederacy, which, by the way, the Confederacy still exists. If you travel through the old Confederacy, the irony of we hate the federal government, stay out of our business, and so on, except that they take way more money than they send, and then still somehow blame the federal government for their status in life when these are overwhelmingly Republican states. At what point do you get the government you deserve? Your schools don't work, your towns don't work, you have no opportunity. The number of homes throughout the old Confederacy that now have regressed to a point where they no longer have running water and power. Democrats didn't do that to you. It was Franklin Roosevelt that brought you power in the first damn place. But I want to ask you, I do want to get to ask you the same question, Kristy, about your top issues. But I do, after making such a plea for people to be interactive, I did get a comment that I absolutely want to get to. John Pedora says, a friend of the program, by the way, and former guest of the program, who's moving to Colorado. We will beat John up about that very shortly, and he better throw a going away party. And I'm making you, John, throw the party. We're not throwing it for you, and it better be a damn good one. Kristy, we've read the newspaper articles in Lancaster about your opponents that are deeply aligned with Free PA, and I will have you then tell us what that is. Doug Mastriano and other extremist groups, and I don't think that's I don't think that's hyperbole, to be blunt. How important is it that we keep these people away from making important decisions for our children's safety?
I'll second that about John's party, and I would like to be invited as well.
Get working on that, John. You have your marching orders.
I was also a volunteer for John's campaign. So hi, John. Thank you for listening. I don't even know where to start with that. So Free PA is an organization that was formed out of kind of opposition to our governor and the mandates that he placed upon us, in my view, to keep us safe, in their view, to take away our freedoms. And I don't know if you are familiar with Indivisible, like Indivisible Group.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So
Work with them on a regular basis.
yeah, and out of 2016, they were kind of motivated to be like, okay, we need to come together and figure out what we can do to get Trump out of office. Kind of reminds me of that. Like they wanted to organize and work against our governor and all of those mandates. So my opponents are involved in it. They are supported by it.
I would stop you just a second to say that the so far as I can tell, because I've done some research on Free PA, the leader, or at least one of, or the top person, or one of the top people, is what looks to be a perfectly fine woman named Tabitha Value, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. My apologies, ma'am. I have reached out to her both through Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and email. You have an open invitation to the program, ma'am. Please tell us what you would like to free PA from. Maybe you'll convince me. Let's have a conversation. We would love to have you here. Even though we probably disagree on nearly every single policy position, you are welcome here. You will be respected here. We will have a conversation. And if your points are better than mine, then you'll convince people. And when they're not, I will. So you are welcome here. Here's an open public invitation to you, ma'am. And forgive me, I probably did mispronounce your last name. I believe it's French, so I'm not 100% sure how to say it. But you're welcome here. Challenge laid. Please go ahead, Kristy.
Yes, I mean, they're very active in Elizabethtown, and they help to organize some buses to go to the January 6th Stop the Steal rally. They have spoken out at school board meetings, not just in Elizabethtown, but in others across Lancaster County, against trans rights, trans athletes in particular, against
Do you have hundreds of
CRT.
trans kids? Do you have hundreds of trans kids in Elizabethtown? Are they all going out for sports and ruining them?
I'm going to say no.
Okay, but my
The
guess would be
percentage is probably
if you have
one or
any,
two.
they'll fit on one hand, and I have a feeling they're not exactly destroying the sports programs in your entire town, would be my guess.
And that has not come up so much in our district, but there's been some comments during the school board meetings against the bathrooms and they wanting to ban books like To Kill a Mockingbird, and I mean, as soon as I say wanting to ban
Tom
books,
Sawyer, I'm guessing.
To Kill a Mockingbird, The Hate U Give, Romeo and Juliet was problematic. And I'm an English teacher, so that has certainly been something that's motivated me to keep running and speaking out. But anyway, they are very organized. Most recently, there was a group that spoke out against having universal indoor masking for the next school board, or for the next school year. Even though Lancaster County is in this high level of community transmission, even though the CDC is recommending.
Let me ask you this ironic question. If school boards, county governments, municipal governments, state governments, if it's tyranny for these governments to mandate masks, why is it not tyranny for those same governments like Florida and Texas to mandate that any local mandates shall be illegal? seems to me to be the same damn thing. I will leave that one right there. What are the other big issues that you are running either on or for in your particular school district, other than the maybe other than the shiny objects that we're trying to distract people with? What are the real issues?
I would echo what Dan said, as far as like transparency and engagement. That was a motivator for me the first time around, and I still see it as an issue this time. We have this possible school consolidation issue that's like what I really want to be talking about. And at the doors, though, it's a shame. It's like it's been hijacked. What's really important has been hijacked by these other issues that aren't even issues. Critical race theory is not taught in any K through 12 school.
In the entire country.
Yeah. So, yeah, our school consolidation and engagement, I would say. And really just continuing to make sure that our school serves all children.
Is there budget and funding problems in Elizabethtown the same? Are you facing those same things like many of the other districts throughout the country, really?
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times I'll knock on the doors of senior citizens who say, like, if my taxes go up, I'm on a fixed income, I am not going to be able to stay here. It's hard. It's just something that all school boards in our state, we have to advocate for a change in the way that our schools are funded. And these charter and cyber charter schools are just siphoning so much money away from these local districts who can't keep up. It's really unfair.
Dan, in the comments section, I'm trying to find it because I got past it. Sorry. Casey Cole says, I am in Ridley and a member of the Democratic Party. The residents here are told from a young age to register Republican or you will never get a job or the services provided by the township. People live in fear. Would you agree with that statement? Would you disagree? Can you elaborate on it?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with it. You know, people know what's going on in the township. Probably not enough, but there are certainly people that know that, you know, they can't call the police. I know, I don't want to get too into it. I know a family, they are having an issue with a neighbor who happens to be a brother-in-law of the police chief. They can't call the cops. They call the cops. This guy I'm friends with, he ends up getting in trouble. I mean, you know, I'm trying to help him out. There's not really much I can do. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's certain people that know that if they're in trouble, they can't call the Ridley police.
Would you agree then with Casey, because he's been able to, he's kind of hammering the point home here in the comment section, that this is ingrained in Ridley from a very young age.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say.
That there's one political party in Ridley.
Yeah, right, of course. But I mean, you know, it's certain people. I think it's really the community members that need the police that might get into some, you know, some sort of confrontation with neighbors. I mean, that happens. But if that neighbor happens to be related to, I don't know, one of the commissioners or, you know, one of the police, they're pretty much out of luck. You know, I keep saying alleged, but I see these things happening. They're happening. You know, it's not my imagination. And there's probably some people watching saying, oh, that doesn't happen. You know what? Because it doesn't happen to you. But it does happen. Like I said, this family tree, if you have any issues with any of them, forget it. You're not getting help.
Dan, Kelly mentions it's not just Ridley, but Delaware County in general. Is that your same experience? Or is Ridley perhaps worse?
Probably Springfield to a degree, but I can't speak for other townships. You know, but I mean, I would certainly say Delaware County's going more liberal. But you know, I don't want to speculate about other townships. I mean, I'm really just focusing on Ridley Township. Does it happen in other townships? I'm sure. But I just know what's happening here and the extent of it. And it's really, you know, it really needs to change.
So when you talk to Republican, or at least registered Republicans or Republican voters, whether you're knocking the door or whether you just might be, you know, at the grocery store and they recognize you, do they say to you, even if it's quiet, we know something's wrong here?
No,
They don't even think anything's wrong.
no.
So this is purely a Democratic.
People watching that are probably going to say this guy's full of shit. There's nothing wrong here.
What about the independents or the non-affiliated folks?
You know what? I honestly don't really have an answer for you there. I mean, I'm knocking on doors and, you know, nobody really brings up anything about corruption. You know, you have any questions or concerns? No, you know, everything's fine. It's not.
What is the extent of local reporting in Ridley? Is there a blog? Is there a newspaper? Is there a radio station? What local news are folks exposed to, if any?
I'm going to have to say none that I'm aware of. There was some press about the tax collector. She was indicted on income tax fraud, I believe it was.
Ironically.
Yeah. You know,
Or not ironically.
Yeah. So, I mean, you see an article about that in the Daily Times. Daily Times is a local paper. There is an article also on the FBI investigation into the police department. But, you know, it's not ongoing. I mean, it's not something you see every day, or you don't see updates weekly. So, I mean, like I said, a lot of people just don't know about it. If they didn't happen to read the paper that day, they don't know what's happening. Some people do. I mean, but the vast majority of the township doesn't know. And
So,
the commissioners don't want them to know. The police don't want them to know.
so if you go to the monthly, I assume it's monthly and not 2 a month. Yeah. Okay. So if you go to the monthly township commissioners meeting and you sit in the gallery as a member of the public, how many folks are in the room with you? Generally, I imagine, you know, being a former school board member myself, I know it goes up and down.
Yeah,
And summer, it's ghost town. But it's, you know, when you go to a a commissioners meeting, how many folks are in the gallery with you? 5, 10?
Yeah,
None?
7. I tried to really put the word out for one meeting. We maybe had a decent showing, 10 to 15. But I really have to go. I really rely on social media. I really have to get out there and, you know, have to instant message people. I have to post it. I mean, it's tough. It's tough getting people there.
Kristy, what's the local media situation in Elizabethtown? Do you have local media? Is there a blog, a newspaper, a radio station? What kind of reporting of what's happening in the school district what kind is there, or is there any?
So we do have a local newspaper, the Elizabethtown Advocate, and I think it's a great piece of local journalism. We have there is an article after every single school board meeting. Sometimes she'll even write 2. Recently, public comments have been so extensive that she can't cover the meeting and those in the same. So sometimes she'll even write 2. The Lancaster LMP is a Lancaster County newspaper that has given front page coverage to my race. There's been a number of op-eds that were written about this race. But really, I think most people rely on social media, on Facebook groups, on Twitter, on the pages of these different organizations, and that's where they're getting all of their information.
When you talk to people, kind of the same series of questions I just asked Dan, when you talk to folks, whether it's door to door, they see you in the grocery store, you're at a sporting event with the kids, whatever it might be, and they recognize you, is there a dissatisfaction with the school board as it currently exists? Do they tell you, in a quiet way, yeah, we agree with you, this isn't right, but boy, that D? I mean, what kind of conversations do folks know? Are they aware of the issues that you're running on? Do they know where the deficiencies are?
I think so. And I when I first moved here, I feel like most people were like, I'm a Democrat. Like, you had to whisper it to each other. You couldn't really share it out loud. I have seen that change. We have a really active committee. There's a social club too that's very active, and we can always be doing more, but I feel like people know that we do have a presence here now. I do interact with lots of Republicans, though, who will say, I'm a registered Republican, but I'm not really a Republican. But I felt like I had to register as a Republican because if I register as a Democrat, that vote won't really matter. And I'm proud to say that I had yard signs in the yards of 4 local elected Republicans. So I know that there are lots of people out there who are willing to look past the letter D. It's just a matter of just continuing to have those conversations and convince people that it's okay. And it's in their best interest.
When you go to school board meetings, because of course every candidate does, how many folks are in the gallery with you?
So like I said before, it was myself and this older gentleman who actually was a Republican. And I remember he gave me such a hard time when I told him I was running. And then eventually he was like, you know what? You're literally the only other person that comes to these meetings. You're invested enough. I want to support you. That has changed. And I see what you're saying about the up and down. I felt like if there was an issue, then a bunch of people would come and speak on that, but then that would be it. There were, I want to say 30 people at the last one between in person and speaking online. I have no idea how many people actually Zoom in. I would imagine it is a lot more.
And what led to that turnout? Do you think the ability to do both, show up in person and online, or was there a particular shiny object that everyone was screaming about that night?
This one, it was definitely the masking, the need to express whether or not our children should wear masks when they're in school, children, staff, and teachers. And probably, I'd say it was 20 people were against the mask, maybe 10 of us were for the mask mandate.
And what kind of arguments are you hearing anti-mask? Is it the usual freedom?
Freedom,
they're hot and sweaty.
Freedom. And another one that it's hard because, and I ended up saying this in my comments, we all love our children. We all want to do what's best for them. And parents want to feel like they are making the choice for their children. I should be able to choose whether or not my child wears a mask. If you want a mask, and if you want to wear a mask, that's fine, but that doesn't mean that my child should. I feel like that was a common thread.
Dan, how has Ridley suffered and hopefully recovered from the worst of the pandemic conditions? How many businesses, when you mentioned earlier that, you ride down Main Street, you see a lot of closed businesses. How many of those businesses closed during the height of the stay-at-home requests and guidelines and guidance? How many businesses did Ridley lose during that time? Do you think most of that Main Street is empty from that? And can it recover? Do you believe that it can recover? Or maybe the better question is it recovering? Have you seen a recovery in Ridley as more and more folks get vaccinated?
No, I mean, you still see the empty buildings, but I mean, that was here before the pandemic. Of course, we were hit hard by the pandemic, but so as far as, you know, you talk about the American Rescue Plan Act. So Ridley Township was allotted, I'll give you the exact number, $3,266,000. In either May or June of this year, they were allotted half of that. Where's it going? We don't know.
So you
We
got
have the money to recover, but we don't know where it's going. We ask at the commissioners meeting.
go through that again for me. The township was allocated how much money?
Okay, so
A total of how much?
3,266,000.
And how much has been spent out of that 3.2?
So half of which was allotted in, it was either May or June, $1,633,049, and it was asked at the commissioners meeting. You
So
know,
the other 1.6 is where?
it's within the next, I'm sorry, that's going to be approximately 12 months later. The rest of that will be allotted. But you know, I was asked, someone asked, are we going to have, you know, some sort of meeting where we're going to discuss where those funds go? Oh yeah, maybe. Well, will that be tonight? No, not tonight. Well, when do you think it'll be? You know, maybe September. That's the answer you get. So
Why would the township commissioners be holding on to the other half of the money? Is it rainy day, or you just have no idea?
We don't know if they're holding on to it. We don't know where it's going. That's the thing. Are they crickets?
So they very well, they could have pocketed it, or they could have it in a savings, and they could have it in a perfectly legitimate rainy day savings.
Sure.
No one knows, and they won't answer.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, hey, I'm not going to say they're doing something, you know, illegal with it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't know. Nobody knows.
And when asked, they won't tell you.
Say, you know, maybe September we'll have a meeting. We'll talk about it.
So again, you've been plain. You're not saying that they're doing anything wrong.
Absolutely not. I am not saying anything that's not factual.
But when you ask them where the rest of the money is, you simply ignored. Is that what's happening?
Pretty much. They'll throw out, I don't even remember, they said, oh, it's going to the fire department. I don't know. The meetings aren't archived. So, you know.
There's no way to go back and even.
We're looking at maybe this or this.
How much CARES Act money was Elizabethtown awarded? Kristy, do you happen to know? And do you happen to know how you're dealing with it in your district, or what the debate has been about what to do with said money?
I don't know off the top of my head. They are really good about posting all of their minutes and all of their graphics. I do remember in a meeting questioning the way that they were going to spend it. It looked like they were like incorporating it into their budget. And it, to me, I'm like, well, hold on, like we don't yet know like what's going to happen next year. Shouldn't this money be set aside for like pandemic related things? So, but I'm not entirely sure, but I could just go look it up.
Well,
shouldn't we both know? It's not like, oh, how do you not know, Kristy? It's like, because they don't want you to know. You know, they've never been questioned before. Oh crap, where's it going? What are we doing with it, guys? I don't know. Who knows? You know, how dare you ask me?
And I mean, I know they had to buy hand sanitizer. There were all kinds of, expenses that they wouldn't have had to, do in a quote unquote normal year. And I know a good chunk of it was spent on that, but there was some left over. But we're still living in it. Like it's still happening. I know
Was there money for the CDC recommended changes to the HVAC systems in your district?
I know that we have, so in Lancaster County, it's something like, I think it's 4 public schools are not air conditioned. Yeah.
In 2021.
Yes. And one of them is where my children go to school. The other one is in Elizabethtown too. I think it's like partially air conditioned in that building. They did bring in these like portable air conditioners into those classrooms. But yeah, before this, like their school would shut down if it was too hot. So yeah, I know they were thankful to get these portable air conditioning units.
All of which are things that CARES Act money could be used for.
Mhm.
Fair enough. I continue to just find it odd, the level of, you know what, let me form it. You're the guests. I don't need to lecture to you. Let me ask you. Although I think it's a common sense question, let me ask you, Dan, why do you believe, and maybe not even just as a candidate, if we take the candidate's hat off for a second, and just as a member of the Ridley community, as a taxpayer, as a resident, why do you think there has been so little or so few answers, so little effort by your governmental structures in Ridley to engage folks? Why do you believe that when you ask a question, you don't get an answer?
Because they don't have to answer, because nobody has ever held them accountable, and people don't really ask them questions. So you don't really have a functioning government in Ridley Township. You have a family. So I'm doing this to be a public servant. Isn't that what we do? Don't we serve the public? They're self-serving. They don't care. They're not asked questions. It's rare that they're asked a question. And when they are, it's like, well, there's just one person asking one question. You brush it off. People don't speak up. That's why. They're not serving us. They're serving themselves. And people are not speaking up and asking why. There's not enough people that'll speak up and hold them accountable. They don't have to answer. What the hell are they going to give you an answer for? They're all one party in the entire township. Most of them are related somehow. So, what the hell? We don't really have to give you an answer. You're one person.
Well, then my follow-up would be what would seem like a very common sense question and an almost self-explanatory question. How does that change?
By people looking at me, this regular guy, 5'8", could probably be squashed with a big mouth. I tell people, look, I got your back. There's probably a target on my back. Come, speak up. Speak up. You know what's going on. You hear me. You see me. I'm running. Don't worry about it. It's going to come down on me, not you. And I don't care because I'm tired of it. People need to speak up. They can't just keep watching what's going on and going about their business because it's not affecting them. It is. It's their township. Ridley pride. Take pride in your township. When you see something that's wrong, you say something. You speak.
And I know something that was frustrating to me was not even the lack of questioning from the community, but the lack of questioning on the board itself from the directors. Something would be put forward, and I felt like there were just a lot of rubber stamps. All right, this is what the administration wants, sure. Not asking questions themselves. There was a building renovation a couple years ago, and I'll say too, I mean, there aren't any teachers on the school board. And I mean, I'm a teacher. So they're talking about the physical space. They're talking about the size of the classroom. They're talking about where to put teachers' desks and student desks. And I had all these questions and you can't speak during the meeting. It was so frustrating that they didn't ask any of the questions I had in my mind. So I'm like, my God, I have to get on there. Somebody needs to say something.
Why do you think it's so hard generally? What do you think keeps folks from making that extra leap to say, we're upset, we're not happy, we don't think this is right? And they might kind of dance right up to the edge of saying, I'm going to run for that, but eventually they don't. And I do think time or kids or job, I think they're convenient excuses. They are not legitimate excuses, but they can be a bit convenient. What needs to happen, or do you think, or that happened to yourselves, that might need to spread throughout the community to get folks to take that one extra step?
I mean, I know for me, it's been the community that we've built around campaigning that started with Jess King in 2017. And I was like, I looked at her as, I don't know, like I could never do that. I remember I could never run for office and put my name out there like that. But the more I spoke and then the other regular people that I met that were running, I'm like, oh, maybe I can do this. And since we just have this really great community of people that work together from all around the county to support candidates in every election. I work closely with the two, there's Donegal and then Columbia is right next to us. And our state representative in the 98th, he takes our whole part of Lancaster. We're working together to try to build a community where regular people will be able to feel comfortable and supported should they choose to run. Because it's scary, it's risky, especially if you're a Democrat in Lancaster County. It's really difficult to win here. So yeah, just making sure that people know that they have a support system.
Dan, what would you say if you had to talk to neighbors, friends, one side of Ridley to the other, whether you were successful is not or not really, I don't really think is the point, but what would you say to other folks across Ridley to say, look, join me here? Or not even, maybe if it's not you, maybe it's I should say a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 or 4, or going forward, or come with me to this meeting, come with me to this meeting. Did you read this story? What do you think is the final, what is going to need to be that final sort of like to get folks over the edge of, yeah, we know it's screwed up, but we don't do anything about it?
It's so cliche, but I like to say there's more that unites us than divides us, and you see that especially in a community like Ridley Township, where there's 30,000 people, probably about 3,000 in my ward. Forget about the Republican, forget about the Democrat. I'm telling you, I don't care. I mean, I'm not happy with a lot of things the Democratic Party does. Like I said, that my beliefs align with them, but they're politicians. I'm not. Put that aside. You see that things are wrong. They're Republicans. And I mean, I understand we're divided. It's our instinct. Well, I'm a Republican. This guy's a Democrat. I can't vote for him. Put that aside. That's not what I'm about. Do I care about these national issues? Of course, but that's not what if I cared enough, I'd run for, I don't know, Senate or whatever. That's not what I'm doing, I'm trying to get this township back to where it needs to be. And I can't do that with just Democrats, because there hardly are any. That's not what I'm about.
Do
I'm
you
about
get that kind of pushback, Dan, when you're
I'm
talking
sorry.
to folks that like, well, you're a Democrat. That means you want to do fill in the blank. You want to cut military spending. You want to this, that, and the other. I mean,
You
do
know
you
what?
actually have to look at folks and say, I can't do any of that stuff. I'm running for one commissioner's seat
Right.
in one municipality, in one county, in one commonwealth, and which is one of 50. And oh, by the way, there's 9 commissioners. My election alone is we're not gonna dramatically raise your taxes. We're not gonna defund the police. We're not gonna take your guns. It's about you knowing what your government is doing. Don't you at least at an absolute drop dead minimum deserve to know what your government is doing?
Of course. Worst case scenario, there is a woman. She's awesome. She's running in this, I forget the word. It's blank. So say she wins, I win. Worst case scenario, you're still going to have 7 Republicans on there, 2 Democrats. What's the worst that could happen? I'm going to be able to ask some questions. These things that are going on, you're going to know why. So worst case scenario is you're going to have someone there who's standing up for you, who's going to ask questions, who's going to find out where your tax dollars are going. So, you have a little bit of accountability on there. You have 2 Democratic commissioners. We're like I said before, it's not the Medicare for all or anything. That has nothing to do with what I'm doing. I'm putting myself out here because I care and I'm sick of what's going on.
Dan, when we had a chance to talk on the phone, you mentioned, I'm being sarcastic. You mentioned a little investigation that's happening in Ridley.
Yeah.
Tell the folks about it.
Okay, so
Because it has been publicly reported.
of course,
And, we talked earlier in the hour about the, whatever media coverage that you do get into your municipality or not get into your municipality, as the case may be. It would seem to me that folks would be reporting on this. I don't know if the Philadelphia media has reported on it, because obviously you're not that far away. But tell folks about the time, the little publicly reported that they probably didn't hear about. Again, I'm being sarcastic. Little tiny investigation happening in your township.
So I have to give you a little summary because I want to be careful with it's alleged. So it all stemmed from 2 detectives. I'm not going to name their names. They were part of the narcotics unit, and there was some money missing in some of the evidence, and they were afraid that the state was going to come down because there was I'm sorry, not the state, the county. There was an issue in the county. Someone was taking money or whatever from the evidence, and they wanted to see how Ridley Township did it. So the police captain allegedly asked these 2 detectives to replace money that was missing from evidence, and they wouldn't do it. I guess if it was anyone else besides these 2 gentlemen who I've gotten to know, and they're incredible people. I think if it was anyone else, oh yeah, what the hell, why not? That's what we do here. They stood up and they said no. And I can't remember how long this went back. Jesus, we just really found out about it in February. They moved. They were being harassed relentlessly. I don't want to get into some of the things that they told me. That might come out, and it's just it's crazy.
What part of that has come out in the public so far? What's the part that you can tell people about?
What happened? So they were asked to replace the money. They didn't. They were basically demoted. There's pushback on that, saying they weren't demoted. That's pretty much the gist of what I can tell you. I do have a copy of the lawsuit. I can certainly, email you that.
And this investigation is continuing.
It's continuing. That's why I'm trying to be really.
It is still going on, and it is a federal investigation.
Yes, it's an FBI investigation, and it involves the police commissioner, the police captain, and the township manager. So,
And that's all public knowledge.
it's public knowledge. The police commissioner is also, he's the president of the Board of Commissioners. And yeah.
There's a lot of connections going on there.
Oh, yeah, there's, if it's in Ridley Township and it involves the police department or the commissioners, you can be sure that they're all somehow connected.
Dan, outside of, it's going to sound like a silly question when I preface it, but outside of the transparency and the, getting the criminal element out of the government, and that's obviously no small thing, but if we take that little bowl of rice and put it off to the side here, what else do you want to do with and for Ridley?
Well, again, I want to bring small business back. And how I do that, being that I'm new, I really, I'm going to have, I don't know if we can do town hall meetings. I don't know how it works, but I want to get together with some small business owners, and I want to get together with the community. I want the community to start participating. It doesn't have to be the commissioners meeting. I mean, I don't know if we're able to have town halls, but I'm sure there's something we can do. But I want the community involved. I want the community to ask questions. There was, I posted something on, it was a Ridley Township Facebook page. I asked, what do you think is wrong with Ridley Township? What would you like to see? It went crazy. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know, 400 comments. And, it was mostly about how, the traffic's a mess. McDade Boulevard's a mess. They're sick of all the cash for gold shops and all these abandoned buildings, the rats. I want to address those issues. Personal issues. I mean, like I said, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'd love to reach out to people who are in recovery. I really just want to be involved in the community. I want the community to be involved in local government because we're a great community, but we're not involved. It takes everybody. It takes the whole community to do this. I'm one person. But I'm one person who wants to speak and wants to say, look, I'm in a position now, hopefully we can do this. It's not just about a Facebook page. It's about, look, I'm running to do this.
To actually win and serve.
Absolutely. And it would be an honor and a privilege. It's just an honor and privilege just to be able to run. And I think, that's something that a lot of people don't see. They take it for granted. We're public servants. We're not serving ourselves. That's what we're supposed to do. It's not about me. It's not about people with their hurt feelings and this and that. It's about community and it's about serving. And people forget that. This is why we're doing it. I'm not looking for recognition. It's not why I'm doing it. And that's not why anybody should be doing it. And, people are going to say to me, who are you to tell me that? Well, that's how it's supposed to be.
Kristy, there's a lot of shiny objects happening in school board races. We've only barely really talked about critical race theory and masking and, online or in-person versus charters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What a crazy radical question this is going to be. What actual educational type things are you looking to accomplish if elected? What do you actually want to get done?
So yeah, and again, I am a teacher. This is my life. So just ensuring that everyone does have access to a quality education, no matter where you live in Elizabethtown, no matter your socioeconomic status. And I think we are doing some really great things. I've been really happy with both of my children, their experience so far. One thing I would like to change is we only have half-day kindergarten. And like something like 80% of public school districts across Pennsylvania have full-day kindergarten. And we don't have it. It is a really difficult thing for working parents to have to figure out transportation for their children halfway through the day. They're also missing out on, more social interaction with kids their age, with, of course, things in the curriculum, more playtime. There are just so many advantages to having full day kindergarten. And I'd really like to see our district move in that direction. And then, when kids graduate, just making sure that they are ready to contribute, whether that's preparing them for some kind of secondary education, a trade school. They've enacted a bunch of different programs that I'm excited for my kids to get to high school. I mean, they can take their time really, but there's a lot of opportunities.
We don't want them to grow up too fast.
Yeah, don't grow up too fast, but there are a lot of great opportunities. So just continuing to seek out other options and opportunities for our graduating seniors too.
The education clause of the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Constitution states, and I quote, "The General Assembly shall provide for the maintenance and support of a thorough and efficient public education to serve the needs of the Commonwealth." Is that happening now?
I'd say here in many ways, yes, but like I said, if you just look at the half-day kindergarten, there are kids that I don't know, they need that full day experience, and for us to not have it, but students in other districts do have it, maybe because whether it's because there's a greater need in that community, or they just have the money to be able to provide that many teachers and have the space to do it. I mean, I see that as something that's definitely not equal, and not okay here in this district.
I would say that education throughout the Commonwealth, and sadly throughout the country, is still largely disproportionately based, largely based on the property tax base of your municipality. If you are in a wealthy community, you will have well-funded, very good schools. And if you are in a poor community, you won't.
Oh,
And that
100%.
by
Your zip code determines the quality of your education here. And I have taught in 5 different districts. This is my 16th year teaching. Like I said, we moved around a little bit, and I've taught in a public school where the students had a nicer car than me at the age of 16. And I've also taught in a district where students have said, I hate snow days because I don't eat on those days. And I mean, that's not okay. That's not okay in 2021. It's not okay ever.
I drive past, on my way to work, I drive past the Palisades schools in Bucks County, northern Bucks County, between 412, well, actually it's on 412, but between Springtown and Harrow, the village of Harrow on 611. The Palisades School District is there, or at least the high school and the middle school, I think, are there. I don't think the elementaries are there. They're not exactly across 412 from each other, but close. They're a little offset. One, you can see the 2 schools from each other. And I don't know why I didn't notice it. And I believe that the like most schools, it has the message board there a little in the front where you can slide the letters in and tell people when the next board meeting is or whenever. And I drove by it one day, and I have to say I'm a little disappointed as I think about this and as I'm formulating this statement for you, both of you, really to react to. But it did catch my eye one day that as I was driving by that board said meals will be available at the something entrance, a gym entrance or back entrance or whatever it is, that the school, now again, this is northern Bucks County, not exactly, well, obviously maybe it's more needy than I thought it was. Maybe it was more not as wealthy as I considered it, considering some of the houses that I drive by in the very same area, on the very same road. But the message board just said that meals will be available at this particular entrance. And it occurred to me that the school district was continuing to provide food to people throughout the summer, or else, well, to students, or else, although if you don't think those students are going home with that food and splitting it with the rest of the family, then you are really out of touch. But the schools have to have students that they need to continue to provide breakfast and lunch to in the dead of summer when school is not in session, then you know that they are sharing that food with the rest of the family. I absolutely guarantee it. But that said, so the school is continuing to provide meals for the students, if not all, at least those eligible, throughout the entire summer. Dan, I know you're not running for school board, but you are running for a governmental position.
Sure.
I assume there are folks in Ridley who are not well off. What does that say about our maybe greater society, that our school districts, and I am certain Palisades is not the only one, and I'm sure Kristy will probably confirm that for me, but what does it say that our school districts now have become, for a sizable number of students in this country, in the tens of millions, I believe, I want to say it's 40 million, the source of food? What does it say?
Well, so I don't want to go too far into the school board area, but I can say that, what Kristy said as well. The big issue is no full day kindergarten. So school taxes were just raised, and 24 teachers were cut almost simultaneously. So what does it say? I mean, the writing's on the wall there. I mean, how many administrators do you need, or I don't know, vice principals, but you're going to cut 24 teachers as well as raising the school board taxes? I mean, like I said, that's not my area, but it just.
But it isn't, it doesn't have to be your area. It doesn't have to be your area. It's about value.
Well,
It's about right and wrong. It's about values.
I think the question is, what does it say about society? It's the administrators, the people in power, the people that have the PhDs that are sitting up there, you never see them. What the hell do they do? What do they do? Why do you need all these administrators, and why do you need to pay them what they're paying, which I don't know what they're paid, but what do they do? You're going to cut 24 teachers. I mean, what's that going to do to the class sizes? How are these kids going to learn when there's 24 teachers gone? And then you're going to tell people, well, you know what? We're going to raise your taxes. For what? Why are these people, get rid of these administrators? You don't need them. This is education. It's not about people making money, profiting. It's about kids learning. It's about the next generation.
Kristy, your district, are you providing food to kids throughout the summer?
Well, and I think what it's showing us, I mean, the pandemic, I think, revealed a lot of things that that people didn't realize. But the question I'll get a lot kind of goes back to something you talked about before, is about being pro-life. And that's a reason that somebody wouldn't vote for me. You're a Democrat, so you're not pro-life. And it's
God
like,
knows, because one school board member is going to really change that whole national policy. Yeah.
I always like to assure them there will be no abortions performed
In the
at the school
schools
district. But you know
as a
what?
lab experiment.
Kids need to be fed. If we're going to require them to be here, they need to be fed. And I think that that's really important. I was encouraged to see that this, the child, what's it called? The child, the money that we're getting, it's not a stimulus, the child
CARES
tax
Act?
credit, the
Oh,
child tax
yes,
credit.
the monthly child tax credit, correct,
Yeah.
which is actually being sent to people in the form of cash now, rather than just a write-off on a piece of paper and money that you probably never see and can't spend and can't use. It is actually being sent to you directly as a cash payment. It will lift half of all the children in the country who are in poverty. It will lift them out of poverty. Now, I would make you want to call me Bleeding Heart Liberal? You want to call Dan Bleeding Heart Liberal? You want to call Kristy Bleeding Heart Liberal? I think we'll wear this one. We don't think anyone should be in poverty. But a program that will lift half those children out, I'll take it. I'll sign up for it and I'll take it. I wish it was all of them. We're not there yet, but half, I'll take it. So that child tax credit is what you're referring to.
Yes. And so the article I read yesterday said that it has already reduced hunger in families across our country. There are way too many like hungry children and hungry families in the United States of America, and that we are the richest nation in the world. How can we be okay with that? So many of society's issues like end up in our classrooms. Why isn't there food in these children's homes? What kind of jobs do their families have? I lived in Bradford, Pennsylvania. It's an hour and a half east of Erie. I mean, I had children with parents who worked 2 and 3 jobs, and they were still on free and reduced lunch. It's not something I can control as a school director, but why is that the case? People are
Three
working
jobs at
3
720, 3 jobs at 725 an hour still doesn't keep a family of probably even 2 people afloat.
It's criminal is what it is.
Yes. And that's what, and then the school district ends up kind of having to see and pay for the consequences of that. Well, these families literally can't afford food, so we're feeding them, and I think we should. But there are so many other factors that go into why children are coming to school hungry that need to be addressed. Or else your school district is going to continue to have to pay for them. So do you want to invest in that, or do you want to invest in some other things that can lift these people out of poverty?
Ladies and gentlemen, our phone line is open. You can call, ask questions of Dan, ask questions of Kristy, yell, scream at me, tell me I'm not so bad. Mention the fact that we're donning the Manchester United jersey this week after a thumping 5-1 opening day win by the Red Devils over Leeds United. What a brilliant match that was. It was actually a super entertaining match of football, unless you were a Leeds fan. Brilliant by United to start a season. Nice. And a reminder, we're going to do something a little different. We like to do different things on this program. We like to try to hit you from all sides and a lot of variety when we can. It's not always political. We've had authors and economists and so on. So on the 29th of August, not next week, I'll tell you about next week a little later. The 29th is the last weekend before Labor Day, the unofficial end of summer, although I have very little doubt that the heat will continue. The unofficial end of summer, we're going to have a special program where my dear friend Ryan Shea, former professional football player for the New York Red Bulls, will come on, and we are going to talk football. Real football because you kick it with your feet. You don't throw it round with a bunch of pads on, you kick it. So we're going to talk about that, something a little different, a little relaxed, a very relaxed, fun, open program to ease you into the end of summer and into your Labor Day, what I hope is a long Labor Day weekend. My job, I'm on call 24/7. But I hope you will be able to enjoy a long weekend. But again, that's 2 weeks from now. So the phone line is open for right this moment. If you are on Facebook, you can see the number on your screen. And wherever it is that you might be watching on Facebook, come on over to the home group page. Stay where you are. Enjoy. We are thrilled, happy, humbled, appreciative of the partnership of all the groups that allow us to share the program onto their pages. We deeply appreciate it very, very much. You can stay there, watch, continue to enjoy, or you can come to the home group Facebook page. That other side of information. The comment section has been great tonight. You guys have been absolutely brilliant, and we appreciate it very much. And you know, you've been listening, so you know I'm listening to, reading, showing your comments, getting reaction from the guests. In fact, I'm going to fix something right now because Debbie tells me that the last 4 numbers of the phone number are cut off on the screen and they can't see them. So I'm going to fix that right as we speak. This is why we're interactive. This is why we take your comments. Look at me fixing stuff in live real time here. Not so bad. Maybe that'll help. You can call us 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. I think I fixed it. And you can now see the number if you are on Facebook. Our radio audience says at hot101.net and TCP, your telemetry should show you the phone number, 267-227-9189. Just because you are not on Facebook does not mean that you cannot call us. You can see the number. It's scrolling on the 101 app, and I believe the TCP as well. 267-227-9189. If we get phone calls, we'll keep our guests. If not, I will release them back into the wild at 7:30 because they have given us 2.5 hours already, and I want to let them back to their families, especially on a Sunday evening. If you call, you have questions for them, they will stick around. If not, we will release them back into the wild. So this might get a little backward. You know that I do this with all the guests at the end of their appearance. However, if we get phone calls, they'll stick around. But what I want to do before 7:30 is to give you both an open floor. If there is anything that we have not talked about that you wanted to mention, that we have not fully spoken about, that maybe we started to talk about a topic, but we didn't finish it. And of course, how people can find you, follow you, connect with you, talk to you, ask questions. I open the entire floor to you. Again, old-fashioned, ladies first. Kristy, please take the floor.
Sure. Well, and once again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I don't think I've ever been like on the radio before, so this was a really pleasant first experience. So, and Dan, being on the call with you has been such a pleasure. And I was going to say this at the beginning, but I was afraid I would get emotional. But just congrats on your sobriety. There are so many families out there who have your story, who have people in their family with your story, and I just want to thank you for giving us hope. It's really good to see you doing well and wanting to give back. So congratulations and keep going. Yes, thanks for keeping hope alive. But yeah, I mean, my school board race is happening in communities across our state. So wherever you are, find the candidate that you can support and help them out. There is a lot at stake here in Elizabethtown, but I mean, it goes for any of our communities. And the only way that we're going to make sure that we have like good, well-meaning people in charge of our government is if people get involved and help to get them there. I hate to call this my campaign. I like to call it our campaign because it really is a group of us who are trying to bring some good to our community. You can find me on Facebook. It's at Kristy for School Board. I'm also on Instagram. I do have an Act Blue account. Whether if you can, I'd be humbled for your support. My committee name is Friends of Kristy Moore. You should be able to just to look that up. But I have 79. Well, it's 79 days until November 2nd, and
How crazy is that thought? How crazy is that?
And it sounds like a lot of time.
Less than 3.
It's not.
It's less than 3 months.
It's really not a lot of time. We have 4,000 doors to knock. countless conversations to have, and I'm here for it. I'm looking forward to it. And I really hope to get elected in November. So
I usually can't write everything down fast enough. If both of you would like to do so, please go back into the comments section at that other side of information and enter all your links in there, and people will continue to get notified of those. Anybody who's watched or commented the program would see that new comments continue to get entered. So I would invite you to please do that. Dan, same for the, again, folks, the phone line is open. Our guests will stay if you have questions for them. If not, we will release them back, like I said, into the wild. I'm killing that joke. I'm really beating that joke down into the ground. I should stop with that one. But we'll let them back onto their family times here on a Sunday night. 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. Dan, same for you. The floor is yours. Anything that we did not get to touch on, anything that we didn't get to explore fully, donations, how people follow you, Facebook, all that stuff. The floor is yours, whatever you wish to put out there, sir.
Jeff, first of all, I want to thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. I've never done anything like this, and you're giving me some exposure, which is not for me. I mean, Kristy said it as well. We're doing it's for you. It's for the public. And Kristy, thank you so much for your kind words. And you're a teacher, and you are really underappreciated, and you deserve a lot of praise for that. Very well spoken, where I'm more of the plain spoken guy. So I want you guys to check me out. So it's Dan Corcoran, Corcoran, letter number 4, commissioner. That's my Facebook page. My email, DANCORC4 commissioner@yahoo.com. Please ask me questions. If you don't like me, tell me. I want you to talk to me. I want us to have a conversation. I've come a long way with, Kristy is very gracious. Talking about my sobriety, and, I can't stress how much I'm a regular guy. I know what it's like to be, that middle-class person that struggles, that lives paycheck to paycheck. I'm that goofy guy you see taking the trash out, dropping boxes, clumsy. I am a regular guy. I know you, you know me. We've stood in line at Wawa together. I've probably worked at a lot of the places you shop at. A lot of you remember the bazaar. We've been at the bazaar together. I'm one of you. I mean, I'm not a politician. I'm someone who really cares about my community. I want to be a public servant. I want to bring something different to Ridley Township, and I really hope you'll just, hey, check me out, okay? If you don't like what you see, okay, I get it, but, just give me a shot, and yeah, that's pretty much it, and I just want to thank you again for having me.
Well, I want to thank you both for being here. I do think that's part of it, is that you don't get the exposure. And I think that this is a bit of a plague in not just in Pennsylvania, really. There's there's an odd year election in New Jersey. I was born and raised in New Jersey this year, but it's for governor. People are going to come out for that. School board elections in New Jersey, when I was on the school board, used to be in April. And you were getting voter participation rates, again, this is back in the early 90s, in the dark ages, of 15%. Phillipsburg had 16,000 people. You had school board members elected sometimes with less than 100 votes. That's not democracy. You're not having the majority's not ruling then when that tiny majority of people are voting. This might be an odd year. The year might end in 1, but folks like this, like Dan and Kristy, are still running. There are campaigns happening. It's your government. Yes, damn it. It's your government. Listen to what Dan's been saying. It's not Sopranos type mob rule, not pitchforks and sickles mob rule, but it's not Sopranos type mob rule where one family, it's not The Godfather where one family rules things. It's government, for goodness sake. And I think what Dan said is actually kind of courageous. Contact him, yell at him. You don't agree with him? Tell him, because he's going to answer. And after all, isn't that what this is about? Is the answering, is the public service, it's the exchange, all of it. That's what it's about. It might be a year that ends in an odd number, 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, but it doesn't make the elections themselves any less important. In fact, I would argue that they are more important. These are your initial entrances into government at the most local level, your township and your school board. I sometimes think, I don't think that there's always a dark shadow behind every corner. There are some, and I certainly would not consider myself any type of conspiracy theorist, even though that term in and of itself has been bastardized. But I don't think it's a mistake necessarily that some of these offices are odd year elections, because people know how important they are. And the less people that take part, the better that the people in power get to stay there. If the Commonwealth was really cared, both parties, by the way, I will lay this at the feet of both parties. The Commonwealth was that damn worried about voter participation in odd year elections, we wouldn't have any. These offices would be moved to even years. Imagine the voter participation, the attention, the deserved attention that good folks like these two. Funny thing I can't get used to on Zoom, I look to your square as if I'm somehow making eye contact with you, and you don't know it. I should be staring at the camera like a professional. I should be looking at the camera. But good folks like these, imagine the attention they would get. Imagine the corruption attention in media that would be focused on a township like Ridley if Dan was running on the same ticket as his local U.S. House representative. Imagine if these races were happening in 2022, when Pennsylvanians will elect a governor, a U.S. senator, their entire U.S. House delegation. Imagine the attention that these folks, these good folks, and the issues that they stand for would be getting if they were just being elected 1 year later. Well, they're not. They should be, but they're not. But guess what? That does not make them any less worthy. It doesn't make them any less of a person for standing up in an odd year, and it doesn't make the issues any less important. If you pay taxes in Ridley Township, you should give a flying you-know-what about Dan and what he's standing for. Whether you agree with it or not is your choice. This is America, but you should care about it. Whether you agree with Kristy or not, if you pay taxes in Elizabethtown, you should give a you-know-what about her and her running and what she's standing for. Again, agree or disagree, that's democracy. But you should care about it. And in every municipality across the Commonwealth, and in every state and municipality and county in the United States that's having elections, and to be honest, I can't name all the ones that are having odd year elections. There's not many. Virginia and New Jersey are always the big ones because Virginia elects its entire legislature and governor in odd years. That's why they're bellwether elections, but that's a whole different topic for a different day. But you need to care about this. My late father used to tell my mother, sometimes right at the kitchen table, and it wasn't always pleasant, when she would complain about XYZ that was happening on the news. He would set his fork down sit back and say, "Did you vote?" And she would say, "I don't vote." And then he'd lean back up and go, "Then shut up." Different era, folks. Little bit of a different era. Was it kind? Probably not. Could he have said it maybe any way of 100 different ways? Yes, probably. And if you are a regular listener or viewer of this program, you know how deeply I revered my father and how much I miss him. And I haven't been the same human being since he left us. With that said, his point is still valid. It's very hard to complain when you don't take part in the process. This is the question I put to the guests earlier. Sometimes you get the government you deserve because you didn't take part in it. You might want to vote for Dan. You might want to vote for Kristy. You might not. I certainly have my opinions. I've tried to make those opinions clear, at the same time letting them express their own selves. But it's really hard to bitch about things when you've done nothing to change any of it. It is not hard. We do it every week here. It's why I created this program, to give you all an interactive outlet to learn, not always to disagree. Or sorry, wait, I did that backward. Not always to agree. You are not all here to agree with me. You probably should, because my points are better. They're valid and history bears them out. But you don't have to. This program was created to give us a chance to talk to each other and for you to learn the truth about things that you don't know the truth about, and to remind you of the history of this country that proves that the policy positions I happen to stand for are the right ones. So I beg you all, do two things, because Casey mentions in the comments that Dan is sharing his Act Blue with the other Democratic commissioner candidates. He or she, is Casey he or she? I don't know. Sorry, Casey. He?
No, Casey's a she.
Okay, she.
She's been a big
Sorry,
part of
Casey,
my
because I didn't know.
campaign.
Casey's a name that can, hey, don't beat up the
Casey's
host.
done a lot of work for my campaign.
So the Act Blue, I believe Casey, yes, Casey put the Act Blue in the comments. Sorry, Casey, you can yell at me later in the comments. I probably deserve some crap.
You probably will.
But she she also mentions, though, and the two, before I let the two of you go, please say anything about this particular thing that you would like to. Casey mentions the most important thing we can do, well, it would be two things: vote and get vaccinated. Anything any of you can share about, especially, I would, if you wouldn't mind, Dan, I would especially say Kristy, because the vaccination thing seems to be one of the epicenters of the vaccination debate, and why there's debate about it is absolutely mind-boggling to me. We get vaccinated for how many different things when we're kids? I mean, let's be blunt. It's why we don't have measles. Yeah. It's why polio is damn near eradicated around the globe, because we take vaccines. I mean, I'm 52. I had the chicken pox. I will get shingles. I'd like to get a vaccination for it so I don't get shingles. That said, schools seem to have been or become a bit of an epicenter of this debate. Do you have any idea why, other than the fact that I think it's a distraction, but that's my opinion, not yours? What have you seen as you've been a candidate and attended these meetings about this vaccination debate?
Well, I mean,
I know I said I was going to let you go, but I had that pop. That
no,
comment
that's
popped
okay.
up, and I wanted to make sure we got to it.
I'm happy to talk about this because I think what has been most important here is that our schools stay open. That is where the vast majority of our students need to be. It's the best place for them to learn. Our teachers want to be in their classrooms with their children, with their students. Vaccinations are a really great path to being able to keep our schools open. And if you cannot be vaccinated, because maybe you're like my children and you're under the age of 12, we have to keep these masks on while you're indoors in order to protect the people around us. It's so much about protecting the community, especially the vulnerable members of our community, so that fewer people are getting sick, so that fewer people are getting hospitalized, so that fewer people are dying. And yeah, let's do those things so that we can keep our schools open.
A bit more you and I than Dan, and I don't think for any particular reason. Because you're an official in the party, perhaps, as am I. Is there anything more? I really want to choose a word that's not offensive here. Is there anything that makes less sense to you from the Republican point of view, like screaming about let's open up, this is over, let's get back to normal, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but by the way, I don't want to wear a mask and I'm not getting a vaccine. Those two things don't jive, do they?
I'm having a really hard time like wrapping my brain around it. And I like to think that people are coming from a good place. Like I said, we all love our children, we all want what's best for them, but there's also this responsibility to the community. And it's such, why this has to be like a political thing. It's mind boggling. Wear a mask, get vaccinated. We're going to get through this. We could have already been through it. I mean, my gosh, what a mess.
It's a distraction. It's a distraction. When you have no platform, no policies, no guidance, no leadership, no vision, no future, these are the things you complain about. Masks, vaccines, guns, God, gays, war on Christmas, my pillows, lizard people. These are the kind of things that you scream about when you have no vision, no policy, no platform, none. Think about what Republicans in DC, national level, House and Senate, are doing right now. They have proposed nothing. Nothing. They have voted against damn near everything, but have proposed nothing. That's not leadership. It's not guidance. It's not policy. It's not a future. Because you're talking about an organization who has committed itself not to provide a future, but to steal it from you. I do this every week. And if George was here, he'd put the graph up for me. And the graph is a bit dated, so the dollar totals are a bit dated. All the new wealth, all of it, all of it, all of it. If you didn't hear me before, all of it. All the new wealth created since the year 2000 has gone to the top 1%. And over $1 trillion in wealth has been extracted from the bottom 99% and sent to the top. Self-identified Republicans, you worry about your money going to immigrants and poor people. You're the poor people now. And you're the children of immigrants. Your money is not going down, it's going up. It's why you can't afford anything. It's why I can't afford anything. Remember, might possibly have policy disagreements. If I explain them to you, we won't. But I'm you too. I don't have any health insurance still. 8+ months. Haven't had it since New Year's Day of this year. None. I'm barely making my bills too. We are not different. Dan said it earlier. We are not different. I might have a D after my name, and I came out of the womb that way, kids. Check out the last name on the screen. But I'm not different than you. I don't want different things from you. Safe schools, safe neighborhood, roof over my head, an operating vehicle so I can get to work. I'd like to be able to see a doctor when I need it. That's it. You want 300 guns in your attic? Have them. Couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. Really. You want to go to an Episcopal church, a synagogue, a mosque, or none? Works for me. Don't care. Are you happy? Are you safe? You're not violating the law? Don't care. Just don't. But I'd like you to do crazy radical things like feed your family. Isn't that ridiculous? Oh, how crazy is that? How radical and left is that? Yeah, I'd like you to be able to drink the water without it killing you. Or developmentally disabling your children. I'd like you to be able to go outside, suck in a deep breath of air and not hack your lungs out, as I do most days. How crazy is that? It's so crazy. Yep, that's us. The party of air and water and schools and roads and post offices and jobs and homes, not rents, but homes. That's us. There's nothing radical about it. I am so thankful for the two of you for being here. And I really mean that, because you've been here a long time and it is a Sunday night. Maybe when you have kids, it's a tad easier in the summer because you guys can catch up tomorrow. You've only missed, or they're outside playing and they don't even know what you're doing anyway. But, when I was a kid, I think there's still a little bit of light outside. I'd be out. I'd be out to well past dark.
I don't
So
have
maybe the kids
but
didn't even.
I have 4 crazy cats running around and we're dog sitting. So I can stay here till 9. I'm all right.
I'm surprised that my cats haven't come in, to be honest with you. I'm surprised, but I'm off to another meeting at 8. So, and we've been a little more disciplined about getting back down to 3 hours, but I hope, I have bad news for you both. You are members of the Kennedy Effect family now. So this means I will do to you what family always does. This means I will call on you again.
Thank you so much.
And I very much hope that I'm honored to have my 2 new friends. We all added, we were super cool this week, kids. We did cool social media stuff. We added each other on Facebook. Yeah, we did, all 3 of us. So I hope that, I know, I don't have to hope. I know that we will stay in touch. And I very much hope that this will not be the only time that you come and visit us.
I would love to come back.
Whether you are successful in your campaigns or not, we hope very much that you are. And I guess especially if you are, it's always nice to have sitting elected officials on the program. We don't get too many of them. I don't know if they're afraid to come here or what, other than Rep. Cerisi, who was here last week, who was a real trailblazer. I hope he goes and tells everybody that will listen that he had a good interview and we had a good program here. Especially if you're successful, I hope you will come back then as well. And one way or another, the door is always open to you. And as a party official, Kristy, there's a chance maybe I'll see you at the end of September, or will you be campaigning?
Probably campaigning, but we'll see.
But you know the meeting of which I speak.
Is it which one? Because I'm just a mere committee leader.
State meeting is open to any registered Democrat, period.
You're right.
It is open to any Democrat. In fact, not enough of us know that. We may not be able to vote, but we can attend everything. We can be there. We can be present. We can learn. We can see how our party operates. And that's not always a pretty thing.
Well, then I'll try to get there then. That sounds good to me.
We will be there. We will be there September 24, 25. We'll be there.
Great.
So to my guests, I want to thank you very much again. Please do not let this be the last time. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so very, very much. Get back to your families. Please stay safe on the campaign trail as well.
Thank you.
Please stay safe, whether it's masks or just don't trip on the bad sidewalk and hurt yourself, or don't get hit when you're trying to plant a campaign sign. I mean, just stay safe out there. Thank you for running as well. Thank you for being part of the process. And that's the first step. You can't win if you don't run.
That's right. Thank you so much.
So thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
great thanks to our guests, Dan Corcoran and Kristy Moore. We have a couple more minutes with you up till 8 o'clock. We will keep the phone line open. We'll take your calls. I almost gave my cell phone number. That would have been hilarious. Oh my God. I never would have got, I started to give you my cell phone number. Probably some of you would like it and you'd beat me over the head with it. That's hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. Something that I mentioned during the program that I think is very important. And you folks, whether you are, and this is really no exaggeration, if you are in Europe listening to us right now, if you are in Australia, not so much New Zealand, thank goodness, especially Eastern Europe, Italy, Spain. If you are in numerous Central American countries, there is a growing right-wing, radical right-wing, fascist right-wing sentiment, faction, movement growing in your areas. We talked about Free PA earlier in the program. Again, that group, any representative from it, their media person, or I'm going to butcher her name, and I certainly do not mean to do that in any way. I simply don't know how to pronounce it. I believe it's Valleau. Valleau. So it's either Cajun or French, I'm not sure. You are welcome on this program. I challenge you to come on this program. Tell us what you're about. If my conceived notions of you are wrong, then correct me. Teach me what I don't know. Tell us what you want to free Pennsylvania from. What is Pennsylvania living under that you need to free us? Tell me about it. I want to hear it. I have invited Doug Mastrano on this program. I've invited my own state rep, who is a Republican, from here, from where I live. I'm not just a radio host. I'm her constituent. Nothing. Silence. You are welcome here. No, we're not going to agree. It's just not going to happen, but I will listen. I will not name call. No gotcha questions. Nothing to embarrass you. Serious, substantive policy questions, 100%. Gotcha questions, name calling, histrionics, none of it. Come here and talk to us. Tell this audience why you are correct on these policies. Why the 50 years since Nixon, sorry, the 60, almost 60 years since Nixon. No, it wouldn't be 60. Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, roughly. The 50 to 60 years of these neoliberal, neo-fascist, corporatist, oligarchic policies are the right way to go. Tell us. Tell us how leaving people to starve is the right way to go. Denying people a continuing and ever increasing for-profit healthcare system, the only one on earth. Tell us why that's the right way to go. I want to hear it. Make the case. Legislate. Be a leader. Campaign. Right here. You're welcome here. I can pretty much guarantee you we won't agree. We actually might agree on tariffs, believe it or not. But come here. Tell us why you believe what you believe and why you think it's the best thing for this county, state, country. Tell us why the same ballots that you appeared on are corrupt. Your election was okay, but not the other guy. I'm a Republican, so my election was perfectly legal and clean and sound, but not the other one, even though we were all on the same ballot. Tell us. It's something that folks don't realize enough, I don't believe. I don't know if they're afraid to come here. You have nothing to fear. We're going to have a conversation, and it's going to be tough. You're going to get asked serious policy questions. And if you lie or can't answer them, I will follow up. But am I going to call you names? Am I going to yell at you, scream at you? Am I going to stand on the desk and, do all that kind of stuff for ratings and eyeballs and attention? No. Let's have a chat. Tell me why you're right and I'm wrong. Tell me. Tell the people. You're all running for re-election too. So tell us. I think you're scared to do it. I think it's because you don't have answers. I think it's because you don't have facts. And certainly the history doesn't bear you out. But that doesn't mean that you're not welcome here. So I'm laying down that challenge for whatever it's worth. Any seated Republican elected official anywhere can come here. Now, if you were a state legislator from Idaho, hell, Hawaii, would I know the exact goings on in your district? Would you have me beat there? Damn right you would. But these general, I shouldn't even say general, they are more specific than that. These overarching policy positions between the Democratic Party, big D Democratic Party, and the what's left of the Republicans, the Republican Corporation, let's talk about it. I challenge each and every one of you. And to be honest, any seated elected official from any party, Democratic, Republican, Green, Independent, Libertarian, Liberal, if you're in New York, watch our program from last week with Rep. Cerisi, whom I still continue to thank in more ways than he may ever realize. Was Rep. Cerisi treated unfairly? Was he yelled at, screamed at? No. And he and I don't agree on everything. It's a discussion. It's an open discussion for the information and education of those of you out there watching and listening. So any elected official, either any persuasion, come here and talk to your constituents. And if you're a state rep, think about what Rep. Cerisi did. Does he represent the listeners and viewers that we have in Europe, South America, Central America, Australia, New Zealand, Canada? He doesn't, but he came here anyway, because so many of these issues, the haves versus the have-nots, the social safety net, quality education, environment, doesn't matter where we live, they affect us all. So he came here and talked to us, and I hope many, many, many other seated elected officials will do so. 7:59, the phone line is open. If someone was to ring in the next few seconds, we will take your call and stay. If not, we will come close to bidding you farewell. Very, very kind. Janet just appeared in the room on our home group page. We thank you so very much. We thank every single person, quite literally, and I mean it, every single one of you that takes any time whatsoever to take in any of this program. Please remember, if you miss any of the program, any of the program, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/that other side of information, and you can watch our recorded program from start to finish. If you watch it in little bits, if you watch it throughout the week, if you sit down and get through all of it while you're at work and it plays in the background, we don't care. You can follow us there. Give us a subscription. because not a paid subscription. YouTube is not a paid subscription. It's just you hit the button and you subscribe, then you will know every time that we post a new video or make an announcement or anything there. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the likes, the subscriptions, the follows, whatever one is appropriate to whatever one. Please add us. Be part of the family. Agree or disagree. You're welcome and you're respected. Give us a follow on Twitter. Give us a follow. I think it's a follow on Instagram. Join our Facebook group, That Other Side of Information. Join the other groups that I am a part of. Let's talk. Let's talk. 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. We will return next week, and I want to tell you who is coming, and I need to find him because I forgot to write it down. So let me find the actual, we have yet another candidate coming next week. This one I'm very, very excited about. And it's because he's from a different part of the country from us. And we're thrilled about that. So our guest next week, our scheduled guest for next week, is Keanu Smith Brown. He is a candidate for the Annapolis, Maryland City Council. And you might think to yourself, well, okay, so what? Well, again, we want to follow up with some of the topics that we did this week about why local and odd year elections are important, what it takes for someone to step up and run. He is a first-time candidate. He's also running against a very long-term established, I think a 30-year, 20 or 30-year sitting council person. And the primary in Maryland, which is very strange, is in September. And they think it gives them about 6 weeks to run a general election campaign. Very, very different, very strange. Something I'm guessing that they probably don't do in even years. I can't imagine all the congressional representatives from Maryland having a 6 week window to run in after a primary. I find that very strange. It might just be an odd year thing. We'll ask Keanu about it. But he will be here next week. He is our guest next week. Candidate for the people, Keanu Smith Brown, Annapolis City Council candidate from Ward 3, who is also a political activist and leader and a community-based organizer and a teacher. A teacher running for office. Thank goodness. So he is our scheduled guest for next week, and I hope that you will join us then. 267-227-9189. If you missed any of this week's program, again, go to YouTube. You will find us there. 267-227-9189. YouTube.com. I think it's /. I usually just say / because I don't remember. That Other Side of Information. If you have a business, a service, a product, if you are starting a business, you can quite literally reach a global audience by advertising here, right on this program. And by the way, your advertising on this program is not, I will put it right in the ad copy, is not an endorsement of my political views. It is simply you trying to reach people. If you have a small business, if you are a one-person business, if you have a product, you make soap in the garage, you make and cook pies and you can ship them all over the world, you do auto repair, you sell this, you sell that, you do whatever, right? Whatever it might be, and you want to advertise, you can do it here. We would love to have you. Give us an email, thatotherkennedy@gmail.com. thatotherkennedy@gmail.com. Just let us know. Let's talk about it. We'll write an ad. I will read it multiple times throughout the program. And remember, when you advertise with us, your ad lives on. Let's just say, for sake of argument, you bought an ad for 1 week. I'll read it every half hour. And maybe you don't want that ad to go any more than one particular week. It stays. It's on our YouTube. It's on the Facebook. It's everywhere that we share the program. Your ad stays. It continues. It's great value for the dollar. You buy once, your ad lives on. We hope you will advertise with us. And if you want me to put right in the copy that you don't agree with everything I have to say, no problem. I'm happy to do it because it's probably true. So no problem. So if you have a product, a service, a business, if you are your own business and you want to advertise to what is quite literally a global audience, please drop us an email, thatotherkennedy@gmail.com. 24/7, our Twitter page is there for you to get to at That Kennedy Talk. You do not have to wait for the live program to contact me. You can always do it through Twitter. We have not nearly enough Twitter followers. We would ask you to please give us a follow. Doesn't appear as if anyone is going to call. Nothing new there, but you can continue to comment on the posting of the program wherever it might be. I will see the ones at the homepage. And if you're not a member of That Other Side of Information, the Facebook group, I beg you to do so. And again, it is not, I say this every week, it is not purely political. We post a lot of articles about, we posted an article last week about the Perseid meteor shower. We posted an article about an oil spill off Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean that was reported to have been, or that the oil company reported that they cleaned up. And you see photos of a gentleman in just a rowboat and his hands are covered. He's rowing through a sea of oil. The oil company did nothing to clean up their mess. We've posted articles. We posted an article this week about how scientists are worried that the collective and inherent knowledge, the history of certain species is being wiped out because they are being wiped out. Science has proven that fruit flies, orangutans, cats, horses, other types of insects carry an inherent, almost family, societal knowledge from generation to generation to generation. And because we have so devastated wildlife on this planet, that knowledge is being lost. That knowledge might be something as simple as migratory patterns, what plants you can eat, what plants you can't eat, who are predators and who is prey. That knowledge is being lost. It's a deep environmental problem, deep, deep environmental problem. We have to remember that we share this planet. We are not the planet, we share it. 96% of all the mammalian life, mammal life on this planet are humans and the livestock that we raise for food. That means only 4% is anything else. It's not sustainable. So we post a lot of different things on our Facebook page, and we hope that you will become a part of it. You, even though the group is public, you can become a member, and we hope that you will. Once we get to 1,000, I think it is the way Facebook works, so many more people will see it. So we want you to come and join us again, whether you agree with us or not. Come, you are welcome. I think that will just about do it for us. Again, youtube.com to see if you missed any of the program. You can find us on Instagram at That Other Side of Information. Patreon, if you want to become a monetary subscriber to this program, you can do that at patreon.com, Patreon, patreon.com, That Other Side of Information. Look for announcements on TikTok. I have remembered now as I said, I think 6 weeks on the trot. You can find announcements there. And if you give us a follow, I think it's a follow on I think it's a follow on TikTok, you will know every time that we post something. So just please be part of the program. We want you to be part of the program. And remember, we could not be here if you are not there. So until next week, we will be welcoming Keanu Smith Brown. We're really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to having someone from a different part of the country. You might think Maryland's not too far from Pennsylvania. It's really not, but we're going to be excited to have somebody from a different state. You know, Michaela Ridley joined us from New York, and we're looking forward to have Mr. Smith Brown from Maryland. It'll be great. Again, anywhere in the country, you are welcome here. If you are running for state legislature in California, Washington, Oregon, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Texas, Arizona, Montana, Idaho, I don't care. You're welcome here, and from either party. Please have conversations with each other. Don't yell and scream. We can heal this country. Take care of yourselves and each other. We want you alive. We want you happy. We want you safe. We want you to continue to be part of this community with us. For associate technical producer, Lynn Dare. For technical producer, George Dare. For DJ Lutz and DJ Earl and all of my friends and family at hot101.net. For Marquise, Whitney, Sarge, and Taekwon at TCP, our TCP family, we thank you. And of course, for the woman who got us all started, April Riddick. And for Kristen, I am Jeff Kennedy. We thank you so much for being here. So very, very much for being here. Until next week, let me find my mouse so I can turn things off. Until next week, please take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.